Welcome and good evening, everyone. BPL Nation, we are back. This is the start of the third week of regular season. We have a fun match here to start things off. Mango Nectar against Flying Bugbears. I'm Mustard. I got Rain over here. Yes, I got the direction right. And it's a very interesting weekend. A lot of us, a good amount of us playing our American. And it is the country's birthday tomorrow. A lot of people, looking to get out and get active. So, weird schedule for the weekend. We got, I think, 3 matches here on the stream today. There's one going to be on a B stream. 1 game tomorrow. Ceremoniously, 1 game tomorrow. And then everything's going to be on Sunday. So, it's going to be a Super Sunday this weekend to kick things off. We even had a match played yesterday. If we could maybe take a quick look at our standings and our schedule to kind of get everyone caught up a little bit. Get some visuals going.
Yeah.
We have, 3 matches here.
This is going to be a pretty big day today, I think, especially being able to kind of dust off maybe some of the dust from that B stream. Definitely going to be a pretty explosive Friday. Looking forward to this one.
C League on that B stream at 8:15. A little bit of an odd time, but sometimes that's just how the scheduling shakes up. We did have a game yesterday. I don't know if we can really pull that one up. But it was a Pachisuba against Eternal X played yesterday. So that match did happen. For people that are doubting. So that shakes up their standings a little bit in the Cleric group, putting them at 2-1. Eternal X coming off, they did win, so they are also at. So both those teams at 2-1 now, which does shake things up for the standings a little bit. It'll make things kind of interesting over there since they're kind of sitting pretty, looking far into the playoffs.
Yeah, regular season here. We're going to take a look at the B League standings. And of course, that is where our first match of the night is going to be taking place over in that Barbarian division here. Mango, Nectar, and Flying Bugbears. Right in kind of the middle of the pack here between those 5 teams in Barbarian. So this is actually only going to be the Flying Bugbears' second match here. So hopefully they've been getting maybe a little bit of scrim time in. Got to participate in that preseason tournament as well. Because Mango Nectar with that extra match under their belts, maybe a little bit more synergy built up in this team.
More than just one extra match. So Flying Bugbears, if we can look at their history, they lost in their first match in the kickoff tournament, and then they've only played 1 game this regular season. So they've only had 2 matches this season. This is their 3rd match of the season. Mango Nectar have double that essentially.
Yeah.
Having making it to semifinals. Playing 3 games in the kickoff tournament and then having that 1 extra game in the regular season. So it is an interesting situation. Flying Bugbears, this just means that we have very little data on them. How they play, what they've done so far. It's limited compared to probably every other team in this tournament. But what is not limited is that we at least know their roster.
And of course, this is BPL, so a draft league here, and means as many of these players are going to get playtime as possible, depending, of course, on if they are here. Maybe they're away for that long weekend, like you mentioned, Mustard, but Impulse, Alfredo, Trixie, Tally on that tank, C Carrot, Gosh, and Jolda. It's going to be a nice roster here, and excited to see what they're going to be able to bring to the table. Definitely looking like they're going to be the underdog coming into this series.
Yeah, I will say, as an old head to BPL, I don't recognize these names. These are foreign to me. I have no background on any of them. Can't say the same for Mango Nectar though. Kernmaster, Blinded, Strudel, Fish, Big Brain, Sandy, and Corey. Kernmaster's been around for a while, and so is Fish. Both these players, talented in their own right, and I believe have played together before. So it's not, so there's a little bit of synergy going, especially if between DPS and tank, you really want that coordination, maybe get a dive or an execute on someone, just to kind of stuff like that. The little things matter; they build up over time, and I'm excited. I want to see Mango Nectar kind of show that experience off, but also Flying Bugbears. They have a lot to prove this match.
They do, and of course, as you guys can see at the bottom of the screen here, these are all predetermined maps, so we know already where we're going to go throughout this series in, I believe this is a best of 3, so going to be first to 2 here. So getting started out on Esperanza, a push map. I really like this. I think that this is really going to kind of shake things up. So many of these players that have been playing on organized teams are more so used to playing on those control maps first, so I think that this is going to set the tempo a little bit differently than a control map would.
Oh yeah, Esperanza, push is kind of, it kind of serves the same purpose as control. Both modes are pretty fast, can't tie on the tank, well, really hard to tie on push. You can't tie on control, but it's almost impossible to tie on push. Has happened in recorded history, so can't really rule it out. But, it serves generally the same purpose to kind of make sure that there will be a team starting things off, but also just shaking up how things are through the season, with the predetermined map pool, a bit of a remnant of the Overwatch League days, back when every map was predetermined for every team. So, keeping that going, keeping the spirit. We still talk about you, Overwatch League.
That's right, we sure do, and hero bans coming through here as well. So Mango Nectar banning out that Lucio, and then in response, Flying Bugbears taking the Orisa off the table here. So no surprise to me that with that Lucio ban off of the table, we are seeing both teams hovering that Mizuki. Has been seeing a lot more play time recently, and also Mustard, we might get to see a little bit of Xion here, maybe from Kernmaster.
I think a well-placed Xion will just absolutely demolish the competition. I am excited, and still relatively new, so we don't really have too much data on Xion in a organized play in that esports setting. And from what I've gathered, if you position well, you play your angles, you get flanks. I mean, that character, you one-shot anyone 250 HP, which is most of the roster.
Yeah, it really does come down to kind of the timing of things, and well, Flying Bugbears finding the first blood here. That's a big start for them here in Esperanza.
Yeah, and speaking of the Xion trying to find an angle, Kernmaster not able to. Mango Nectar down their DPS now, looking to just stall things out, maybe try to stall and wait for their team to get back. I mean, Alfred just got absolutely chopped up by the Kiriko. Tally gonna continue aggressing forward, press that advantage. Is still one player, is always greater than 0, and Flying Bugbears, I mean, off the back of 2 great picks, gonna get that pop pushing.
Yeah, and I really like this matchup of Tally on the Hazard versus Fish over on that Zarya. Tally's gonna have a lot more mobility here, which is gonna pair really nicely with Alfred over on that Genji. And you can see that Trico is already set up on that bridge with the Sojourn, so it's gonna be so hard for Mango Nectar to even walk in and get a contest on this bot, which is now pushing towards that checkpoint.
Yeah, we might get butt scratch here for Flying Bugbears if Mango Nectar can't touch. Fish gonna throw himself onto the cart, try to poke out this Mizuki, who is extremely low, somehow dodging and ducking and weaving, but will get taken out eventually. And the rest of Flying Bugbears are just gonna fall right beside him. I mean, it just happened as quickly as it came. There's a train out my window.
Yes, there is.
Shout out Amtrak, yo, shout out Amtrak.
I love it. I also love this re-engage that came through from Mango Nectar. Honestly, Tally on the Hazard pushed up a little bit too far there. I mentioned that Trico was set up on that bridge on the high ground, and as soon as Tally pushes into that small room, the Sojourn isn't able to contribute to the fight in any meaningful way here. But good news for Flying Bugbear is that they're coming in with some ultimates online and coming online very soon here. So this down 4 being the first ult on the board is a massive advantage here for Flying Bugbears.
I agree. We'll see if they pilot it properly. I mean, there is a Kitsune Rush on top of that downpour. I guess just kind of operating in response. I mean, what can you do when you're all rooted to the ground? Hazard's just slashing at you, as the rest of Mango Nectar trying to maybe find a pick, find an exit. I'm not a big fan of it, right? Since you're kind of staggered on that respawn wave. But all things considered, you get your one.
Yep, that's right. So Bugbear's back in control of this bot. They're going to push towards the checkpoint. Kernmaster is lurking, does have that Satsuki's 3 ready to go, but once again, Triku's up on this high ground, and that's the checkpoint in favor of Bugbears.
Yeah, they get the bus crash that they fought for. They're just going to back up, give up some space. You already have that forward spawn, and now that that animation is played, you can just kind of send the push bot through on your next attack. Ultimate's going every which way though. Graviton, Kekai, and Juno, and the Shiono comes through. Gets two. Mango Nectar, in the chaos of it all, able to come out on top, but it was a little expensive for them.
Yeah, it was, right? The grab came through the Kikai Sanctuary. I actually thought that originally that was from Flying Bugbears trying to use that to counter out that grab, but it was Sandy that committed it in here. So Mango Nectar need to make some decent progress on this bot, and they need to get blinded set up so that they can use this overclock. But that Sanctuary is ready to go for Bugbears.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to need it. I mean, you get blinded goes down early, so no overclock in that fight. But Tally getting picked off might be the go button for Mango Nectar, but it does not matter. Alfredo has a blade, and he is chopping everyone up, trying to get a little bit of damage on that Zarya, but can't really cut through the bubble that easily, as Trixie just getting a quick little exit. Just get a nice one for his team.
A little bit of a late kill. Big Brain will get the wave spawn with Fish here, so Mango Nectar are going to be able to get set up here for another re-engage. Blinded being taken out first in that fight does mean that they held on to that overclock. The Impulse still having this Sanctuary ready to go there could cancel out the entire Sanctuary if Bugbears can position properly.
Yeah, I mean, that Sanctuary is going to have to come up big. It's going to have to like triple its value if Flying Bugbears want to win this fight. Tally does have the downpour, but extremely low, having to kite out this fully charged Zarya. We're getting close to the orbital ray. Not sure if we're going to be able to see it this fight. The Kekai Sanctuary, however, used in response to the Kitsune Rush. So quick little trade to support ultimates. Downpour coming through, but the overclock in response. Flying Bugbears on top in the player numbers, extremely low, but they will be able to close it out. And for Flying Bugbears, I mean, that was just super expensive, and you get nothing for it.
Yeah, Bugbears are in control of this bot here. The team kill comes through for them, and yeah, so much committed there from Mango Nectar. Right now, they're going to look to try and build up this grab from Fish. Was very successful the last time that they had it, and there is not really a whole lot that's going to be able to cancel it. Jolda does have that orbital ray, but if she gets locked in place in that grab, it is not going to help her.
Yeah, so we'll see where this grab goes, if Fish can lob it in a good spot, or if we're gonna see the Spirit of Nene live on. Tally extremely low. Orbital Ray gonna be invested early. Grab not even online yet. They're just looking to blow someone up, and Kernmaster will go down. Graviton Surge comes through, trying to equalize, gets that pick on Impulse, but Big Brain and Sandy both fall for Mango Nectar. This grab from Fish was all for naught, as Jolda kind of caught in no man's land. Oh,
she's somehow alive and gets the bot there. Nice late kill onto Fish. That is massive for Flying Bugbears. Have that forward spawn. Oh, another kill. That is another fantastic stagger here, as we are going to see Fish make a swap off of that Zarya. You mentioned, Mustard, how high charge Fish was on that Zarya, but unfortunately it wasn't quite working out for them. So I like this adjustment here. We'll see if they can get value from the Sig.
Yeah, but they might have to wait a little bit longer. Big Brain getting picked off. They do get one on Alfredo, but down as support. It's a little hard to fight, but Sandy does have the Sanctuary, so they might look to try to flip things, despite being extremely disadvantaged here. But, I mean, it's just not even close. Tally just kind of walks at you.
Yeah, and Tally's just doing such a great job on this hazard, finding any member of Mango Nectar that is caught a little bit out of position. They are getting punished so hard by this hazard, and Alfredo and Trixie are doing a great job following up on that damage that comes through from Tally. It's a great engage here, and already you can see Tally pushing forward, taking space. We don't want Mango Nectar to take this high ground for free.
Yeah, for Mango Nectar, they have some ults to make something happen. Because I mean, this might be sort of their last stand. Kernmaster going to be using that ult in a tiny confined room, but a blocking Tally does stall things out a lot. Eventually, they do find the pick. Kekai Sanctuary invested as well, just to make sure everyone's nice and topped up. And they're going to continue to wipe out the rest of Flying Bugbears, who themselves threw in 2 ults into the fight.
Oh, yeah, and one of those ults actually got canceled there. Tally tried to use that downpour and ended up losing it because of Kernmaster with that Satsuki spree. So Bugbears now, we're going to have some ults coming online here. They still have the forward spawn as well. Mango Nectar stopping that bot moving forward means that Bugbears can really just play for time.
Awkward. Alfredo trying to look for a pick early onto that Kiriko, but not gonna find it. Forced to deflect and kite away, especially with every ultimate in the bank being popped for Mango Nectar. We see the Gravitic Flux, we see the Overclock, we see the Kitsune Rush. In response, that Overclock and Orbital Ray combo is good from Flying Bugbears, but things have equalized 3v3, but you're down a tank. Tally, I think actually not here. I may have lied, but Alfredo chops them all up, and that's gonna be it for that. I mean, it's looking grim for Mango Nectar.
Yeah, I know, and we mentioned coming into this, Flying Bugbears really looking like the underdog in this series, but so far, fantastic lead here in Esperanza, and once again, in control of this bot. They have the Sanctuary to work with, the only ult on the board right now, and sub 1 minute, it's gonna come down to what these overtime fights are gonna look like.
Yeah, if Mango Nectar want to win this, they basically have to win probably about 3 to 4 fights in a row and manage the ultimate economy in the meantime, all in overtime, which is not easy. Definitely been done before, as we see Flying Bugbears kind of positioned on this high ground, trying to look for a pick, trying to hold this space. Blinded gonna get picked off, already not looking good for Mango Nectar. Shion trying to find one to equalize, will get Trixie at the end, but the rest of Flying Bugbears just collapse onto Mango Nectar. 10 seconds left, the bot is running away from, actually running into them, but no one really alive and in a position to be able to touch. Will anyone get that overtime triggered? And it looks like Kernmaster will make it there, but might have to give up his life for it.
We've got this spree ready to go here, and these are the overtime fights, as you mentioned, Buster. Ready, you're down the Kiriko. Mango Nectar in a dire spot.
Yeah, especially with the downpour and the blade, you're rooted in place. A lot of damage being taken. And the Kekai Sanctuary, a little bit of cherry on top, as Fish unable to get that retouch to keep the overtime going. And Flying Bugbears, they find themselves up after taking the first map in a dominating fashion.
Yeah, they looked absolutely fantastic. Jolta with the play of the game as well. We do not get to see Juno play of the games that often, but she did a fantastic job staying alive in these fights. And I mentioned this regarding Tally specifically, finding out these targets from Mango Nectar that were out of position. But honestly, once I got to see the rest of Esperanza, it seems like everybody on the side of Flying Bugbears is constantly ready to collapse on one of those targets as soon as they find themselves split from the group. We saw it kind of multiple times there with Kernmaster looking to go aggressive with that Shion and immediately getting turned on. The peel from the players on Bugbears has been very, very impressive to see.
Yeah, I mean, I have no big words. I mean, you've basically said it all. I think if you are Mango Nectar, you want to kind of play maybe a little more like, I guess, just together. I mean, if we, just looking at looking back at the school board, kind of tells a little bit of a story, kind of what happened. I mean, your DPS were getting picked a lot. You were kind of losing a player all the time. It's already difficult to fight up in that like 4v5 or even putting yourselves in that position, even if you're able to get a trade, right? Sometimes you have to invest so much try to get that, equalize that player advantage, that in the end, like you're in a worse spot than before. And that's just kind of that was honestly just the name of the game on Esperanza there.
Yeah, and we'll have to see if things continue here for Flying Bugbears into our next map. As we mentioned at the beginning of the show, these are all predetermined maps, so we do know that we're going to be going to Flashpoint for the next map, and we're going to be getting to go over to Atlas here. So the newest Flashpoint map, and I think still probably one of the lesser played maps as well. So it'll be interesting to see as well what the hero bans come through as, because that I think could shake things up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, with Flashpoint, you kind of want to see a slightly different style. I think overall you want to play at a faster pace. You want to kind of go, kind of take more fights, more engagements on Flashpoint, given that, not only do you have to move around the map all the time, but also just the points capture really fast. faster than on control, and just winning one fight or even just like an extended fight and maybe some like picks here and there, you just capture a point and it's kind of over. So maybe that we're gonna see a little bit of playing into that for these teams. Mango Nectar, having lost that first map, do get the first ban, and they will be banning Juno, and Flying Bugbears taking Zarya out of the equation.
It feels like two pretty targeted bans here for sure.
Oh,
I mean, Jolta, I guess, left some marks on Mango Nectar here. It's also interesting to see them go for the back-to-back support bans, taking the two speed heroes off of the table. So I have to wonder if Mango Nectar are going to maybe opt to play some Lucio, because like you mentioned, Mustard, Flashpoint maps are very big and you have to walk around them a decent amount. So having that speed can be really, really helpful in these map types.
Yeah, but also I think it cannot be understated kind of how powerful Mizuki is right now, especially with the changes to Kekai Sanctuary that kind of make it a lot better as an ultimate than it was before. And we've seen a lot of Mizuki in play, just both in BPL and on the pro scene. Especially like you land a chain on someone, you get the perk that does 20% extra damage, and they just explode. Doesn't matter who they are, they just explode. And that's just been kind of the crux of kind of having that Mizuki in your core, playing around that, whether it's a chain on a flank or a chain on a tank. You hit someone, 5 people look at them, and we saw that a little bit there on Esperanza, not really too much, since I feel like on Esperanza the Mizukis were kind of playing a little more, both teams kind of playing a little more reserved with their backline. But here on Flashpoint, you can take some crazy angles. So maybe we'll see a little bit of spice in that regard. Fish on the Orisa, as we was banned last map, likely kind of in response to Fish, but also Orisa not pretty decent pick into Hazard. So
yeah, I gotta agree with you on that one, Mustard. I think that if Fish can cycle the cooldowns properly, he's gonna be able to keep Tally far away from the team of Mango Nectar. Also, notably, you were right, we're gonna get to see some of that Mizuki here paired with the Kiriko. Strudel gonna be over on the Mei as well, so this is gonna be nice to try and split off some of these corners on Atlas.
Speaking of already split, so much had to be invested to keep Tally alive, but in the meantime, Strudel going down means that we're not going to see any more walls in this fight. Everyone's super low on both teams. Fish will go down. Little Flash fan, as Flying Bugbears are going to get this capture point rolling.
Alright, yeah, gonna start building up that percentage pretty quickly, like you mentioned, and they're gonna be able to get themselves set up kind of towards this choke point. So although Strudel does have the Mei wall to split things off, Tally has already shown us that he is very good with these jagged walls. So Mango Nectar not in the clear here of getting through a spot unsplit.
Yeah, but I mean, the cleanse invested early from Flying Bugbears means that Mango Nectar kind of just have a free go button, especially with the Mei wall. Very great at isolating. Doesn't matter if you can climb, doesn't matter if you can dash. If enough people look at you in time, you will get taken out. As if you saw Trixie picked early, but immediately traded out. So things looking a little messy for both these teams. Big Brain forced to invest that Kitsune Rush just to really put the nail in the coffin. Kekai Sanctuary from Impulse already on the objective, just making it so much harder to fight and so much harder to scrap. But Mango Nectar coming out on top. Things still trading, still stalling things out for that percentage, but when it's all said and done, I mean, Mango Nectar, they win a clean fight.
They do, and that's a big play from Big Brain there. Jolta didn't have the Kitsune Rush online, so you immediately have the advantage in the fight. And the rest of Mango Nectar held on to their ultimate, so you're still going to have the Deadeye and that Terra Surge ready to go. But Flying Bugbears only committed that Sanctuary in, so they're going to have a slate of ultimates of their own, and at 95%, they just have to win one fight here.
Yeah, Kitsune Rush comes through, does get walled off, so it makes it a little harder to take advantage of it. They're just going to fight on the point completely away from that Kiriko ultimate. Downpour does come in. It does catch out some members of Mango Nectar, but the peel is there. Things still pretty equal. Terra Surge comes through, looking to maybe get a kill, get some damage in the high noon, straight into Tally's face. The Hazard tried to kill the Cassidy before it went off, but just ends up giving his life for it, and another clean headshot will seal the deal. And Mango Nectar might be able to just cap this point, but I think Flying Bugbears do have a touch.
They definitely are looking for it. They have both those DPS ultimates to work with here. That Sanctuary from Sandy gonna have to deadlift this fight here. His overtime is gonna get triggered.
Yeah, there's a Sanctuary like you mentioned. Big Brain going down means that you kind of need to make that investment early. High Noon comes through as well as the Dragon Blade. Mango Nectar already down so many players. And Flying Bugbears should be able to get this first cap once they clean up Fish on that point.
All right, they managed to flip it over there. Both DPS ultimates committed in. So a close first point here on Atlas. We are going to move over towards Resort here. So this is going to give a little bit of a spawn advantage to Mango Nectar. They are going to be able to get themselves kind of set up around that high ground, but Tally and all the mobility going to deny that.
Yeah, Trixie kills 2 for Mango Nectar. Some way, somehow, this Cassidy, both Cassidys on both teams finding so much value on this map. And that should just be that first capture for Flying Bugbears.
Trixie has been hitting some fantastic shots throughout this map so far here. So Bugbears being in control of this point means that Trixie's going to be able to get set up on that Cassidy a little bit on an angle here. And now Mango Nectar have to think about how they want to approach the point here. That May not going to have a great time playing in open spaces. So I like this rotation towards Coast.
Yeah, everyone's so low in the meantime, though. Kitsune Rush comes out from Big Brain, but it does not matter because Tally is in your backline, slashing and dashing and doing everything to prevent that Kitsune from getting anything. Fish does get his 1, but it's not going to be enough to turn this fight.
No, excellent. I think 4K there for Tally in the fight, and approaching over that 50% here. You've built up the downpour to work with. Trixie's going to have this Deadeye as well, so it's going to be hard for Mango Nectar to walk into 2 of these kind of zoning ultimates, but they do have some ults of their own to work with. Both those DPS ultimates. Fish has this Terra Surge as well. If you're Mango Nectar right now, you really want to try and force a fight on the point to get the biggest value from these.
Yeah, High Noon just to zone people and kind of bring them, take them away, kind of get that, right? Make sure that they can't really take angles, but it does not matter because the downpour comes through. High Noon of their own, Flying Bugbears looking to get something done. Fish just kind of staring down the Cassidy through that shield. And that will be the second point for Flying Bugbears, and that will put them at match point.
Yeah, much more decisive here on Resort. As looks like we are heading all the way to the other side of the map. One of those long walks that we mentioned, heading towards Gardens here. And Flying Bugbears did great job rotating their ults here. So they're going to have this maybe a combo potentially of this Blade plus Kitsune Rush. And again, having this Kitsune Rush advantage is massive in a fight. So if you're Bugbears, you really might only need to commit the Kitsune Rush.
Oh, that is amazing bait from the May, you know, going in the ice block, immediately walling that hazard, just denying any value possible. And Alfredo has something to say about that one. Will pop the Blade, trying to flip this fight, and Impulse with 2 in the meantime. They will be just, you know, a little bit of a pesky May left on the point, but Flying Bugbears somehow pull that win out of nowhere.
Right, you lose Tally first, and the rest of the team just pulls together and makes the win happen. Really fantastic job from the rest of Flying Bugbears. And you hold on to the Kitsune Rush as well. That is so massive to have in this next fight here, where Mango Nectar really just working with that Sanctuary here. So they're going to have to make a rotation towards the point to really get value from it. Oh.
Yeah, Trixie will go down early, so a lot of that damage gone. Sandy forced to invest the Sanctuary probably a little earlier than they wanted to. Just, you know, falling extremely low, just needed it for a little bit of peel. But Fish is getting so much value. A clean headshot from Blinded. And yeah, once they clean up the staggers, Mango Nectar will finally get some percentage on the board. But I mean, I feel like that fight win was a miracle more than anything.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you here. I mean, I think that Blinded right now is just really trying to get a little bit more attention on the Cassidy for the side of Mango Nectar here. Gonna have that Deadeye ready to go. Flying Bugbears, though, building up some important ults here. You can play a little bit slower here. Most of the time, these downpours have been very, very effective for Flying Bugbears as long as they can get them off in the mid-fight.
Oh, yeah. But getting it off might have to be for the next fight. Tally immediately exploded on that engage. High Noon comes through just to get some damage, get a little bit of chip down, but Blinded might have bargained a little more than he asked for. Does get collapsed on it and taken out, trying to go for that cheeky little pick. But the Kitsune Rush and the Terra Surge just to really put the nail in the coffin on this fight and on this point. Flying Bugbears might be able to get a touch through, especially with Alfredo getting 2 in the back line. But I mean, it might be a little costly. It might be a little ambitious to try to touch. So.
Yeah, great spear from Fish there, and Mango Nectar are looking to pull out a little reverse sweep here on Atlas. Started with Gardens, and we just have to move a little bit over to the side here, over to Town Center, but Flying Bugbears are already set up on this point. It's going to be hard for Mango Nectar to walk into this. Honestly, there's so many ults available for the side of Flying Bugbears. If you're Mango Nectar, you probably just want to try to draw some of those ults out this fight and just go for the next.
Yeah, but I mean, they don't even need to do that themselves. The Blade comes through, but immediately countered. Strudel making sure that that Dragon Blade will get no value, but Trixie with 3 of his own, just to really prove that he is the better Cassidy. Sandy gets 1 somehow. I don't think you're gonna be able to get out though, but he's gonna try his best.
Yeah, those jagged walls from Tally are just so deadly, and of course the violent leaps always landing where they need to as well. But good news for Mango Nectar. Hey, you got a couple of ults out of Flying Bugbears. However, the Bugbears have been so good with their ult economy that they're going to have 3 ults to work with for this next fight. So I'm interested to see how Strudel's going to make this Blizzard kind of find the value that Mango Nectar need to flip this point over.
Yeah, Kekai's Sanctuary for Sandy could be huge. It was huge the last time that he used it. As, nope, there it is. It's going to try to nullify any value from that high noon, but some way, somehow, still catches the Kiriko. But the Blizzard going to zone everyone off, especially that Cassidy. Both teams now down their cast, but Mango Nectar down the Kiriko. A lot of healing out of the equation. The Terra Surge just to try to stay alive and try to create some space. It'll do just that, but it won't be for long. The rest of Flying Bugbears come in and collapse.
I mean, approaching 90% here. This is do or die for Mango Nectar. They need to get this point flipped over just to stay alive in this map and this series here. We'll see if they can do it. Whoa.
And they won't get the touch. We saw the attempt from the Kiriko, but even with the cooldowns, even without the hazard stopping her, I don't think she would have made it. So, a clean 2-0 from Flying Bugbears. I mean, almost a complete 180 from their last match. Just absolutely dominating here. And, I mean, it's like, yeah, we mentioned they were underdogs. I mean, a lot of that kind of stemmed from that lack of data, right? Just having, you know, not having that many matches on the to their name. And after this one, it is looking like they're a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you, Mustard. And I mean, looking at the teams that they've played so far, both of those being losses, it is notable that the loss that they incurred in the kickoff tournament is also the only loss that our other team had coming into this here. So Mango Nectar, with 1 loss under their belt before this, was against Slime City Monarchs, which is also the team that Flying Bugbears lost to. So I think that it's going to be interesting to watch how Flying Bugbears kind of bounce back into this season now that they've maybe shown us they're not such an underdog.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, also just like from Mango Nectar, they looked so scattered and lost in a lot of these fights. It just kind of it makes me wonder, like, what if something was, you know, maybe some happened in the kind of behind the scenes. It just felt like such a deviation from kind of what we would have expected from them, and also kind of what we've seen in the previous weeks. That you know, it's a little interesting. Not to really diminish kind of the achievements of Flying Bugbears, because they played amazing. They played well, you know, especially I think, you know, Tally just, you know, pretty textbook, great performance on Hazard, all match. So, but like, I don't know, it something felt off. I will, you know, we wouldn't know for sure, but certainly something felt off when I was watching.
We won't count out Mango Nectar yet. 1 loss here is definitely not going to destroy their season for them as we take a look at the B League standings here. So, Barbarian, no change here between Mango Nectar and Flying Bugbears in their standings, of course, because Bugbears don't have that many matches under their belts just yet here. But I think this has gone to show us that kind of the middle of the pack here for Barbarian division still hotly contested.
Oh yeah, it's none of these groups are really run away for anyone yet. Still a chance for you to kind of catch up from the bottom or just fall down from the top. But getting a win under their belt does put Flying Bugbears in a really good position. And like you mentioned, Mango Nectar. I mean, this season's not over. It's not all doomed now that they've dropped the game. So.
No, definitely not. But that is going to be it for this match. Best of 2 picked up by Flying Bugbears there. So a big congratulations to them. But like we mentioned at the start of the stream, there's still lots more Overwatch action to happen. And Mustard, I think that we're going to be hopping into the A-League for our next match.
Yeah, Black Crown against Whale Shark will be that next match on the game. It will, like you mentioned, an A-League match, so kind of we'll see things a little differently, considering that, the format kind of for A-League, I think there are more teams in those groups, so things kind of, will look a little different than in B-League, for sure, but I'm excited for it. It's gonna, good change of pace, good breather, two teams that have very interesting, relatively similar records, kind of track going into this, so who knows what will happen.
Yeah, we got quite the shakeup here in our B-League match, so you guys will all have to stick around for that next match. Now, it is going to be a little bit of time before that match is ready to go, so that's going to be starting at 7 p.m. Eastern. It will be here on the BPL stream, the A stream, so make sure that you check back in for 7 p.m. Eastern, as Mustard and I will be back to cover that A-League match. So thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.
Hello and welcome back to BPL Season 8, Week 3, where we got the Black Crowns coming back at it against the Whale Shark. It's going to be...
Singular. Whale Shark singular.
Yeah, Whale Shark singular. It's going to be an interesting matchup here. Black Crown came off of a really big upset last week, taking down Siren Song and, continuing to hold the first place spot in this group. Meanwhile, Whale Shark on the other end, they're currently sitting a little bit further down at the 6th seed, so it's going to be interesting to see if they're going to be able to perform up to the hefty expectations placed on them. To guide you through this series, my name is Shammy, and I'm joined here by Mustard.
Yeah, hello. I'm back from earlier from last game if you were here. But yeah, I will say it's a very interesting matchup. Black Crown, the #1 seed in their group, Whale Shark, the number 0 or the 6th seed in their group, 0. And kind of just has the standing shakeup so far, right? Black Crown, right, 2-0, currently sitting pretty with no map losses in the regular season. Whale Shark, no map wins in the regular season. So it's looking a little rough for Whale Shark, kind of a bit of an uphill battle, especially also considering if we look at their season history, right? Like if we look into the kickoff tournament, both teams didn't make it past their first round, but Whale Shark not picking up a map at all season. Black Crown, we saw that signs of life, right? Taking a map over there in the kickoff, and then, proceeding to just steamroll their opponents so far. It will be an interesting match. Whale Shark, a lot to prove, especially if they want to give themselves like a decent standing going into the rest of the season. The roster here, if we look, we got Pepper, Choco Man, Mafia, Kamish, Squid Up, Zat, and Score Bunny.
Got an interesting squad here. I don't have anything too important to point out here other than, this is still early on in the season, being in week 3. You still got a lot to prove. These players are all chomping at the bit, and you can see just how eager they are to potentially play Tracer. I'm getting a hint. I'm getting an idea. I'm not really sure where it's coming from, but I have a feeling it's going to be a presence here throughout this series. And then when we look at, their opponents, the Black Crown, who are a lot more situated already. They've really kind of built up a reputation over the seasons to follow them. You've got a whole lot of Winston from Shoreline Pie, Epic Shock, Huntsman, Ian, Alibi, Oracle, and Sir Technical, last but not least.
Winston! How's it hanging? We got... Yeah, I mean, for Black Crown, I have a little more confidence in this roster, just kind of just looking at the names overall. That Shoreline Pie guy, except that Shoreline Pie guy, personally speaking, that guy, I think we don't need to give him another win. Whale Shark should be able to take this one. But enough of that banter aside, I was gonna remark about Whale Shark. I did watch their match last week. Was on that cast on their game against Echo Knight, and it was an interesting one because it was close but also not close at the same time, if that makes any sense. So maybe we'll see some signs of life like last week. They were fairly toe-to-toe on both maps that they played last week, so maybe we'll see some improvement. At the end of the day, BPL is a draft league. A lot of these players kind of getting together for the first time. Sometimes you click immediately, you find your footing early. Other times, it takes a little bit to get started, and then kind of need to build that momentum. So, we're kind of at that midpoint, that at a critical inflection point for really every team going into the rest of the season. So.
Yeah, and that continues to, serve and add some extra texture, because you have casted Whale Shark previously, got a lot of experience with their roster, and last weekend I was the caster for Black Crown when they claimed that series, right? So we do have a baseline for where these teams have been, where they're going to go, and I'm expecting really big, scrappy fighting from both of these teams, especially given the map pool we have tonight, right? We're going to start off on New Queen Street, follow that up with New Junk City, and then last but not least, to be a tiebreaker if one does arise, we've got Dorado, right? So yeah, it's an interesting mix-up in terms of maps. These aren't competitive maps that you see too often. Mustard, what do you think that, especially going into New Queen Street first, what do you think that really arises?
will be kind of a clash of playstyles. I think Whale Shark gonna want to lean into playing a little more kind of if we want to build up of kind of what they did last week. I think probably trying to lean into playing a bit of that rush, trying to get a little more aggressive in that sense. But at the same time, it's like it is a little hard. I might be leaking the script a little bit. I do see the bans on our end, so if we could maybe just look at the bans now while we're on that topic. Black Crown, the higher seed, we'll ban out the Hazard. Whale Shark banning out the Lucio does mean that we're gonna see kind of a little bit of a slower tempo. Both teams probably gonna be looking to play Mizuki, just shut down anything, because anything that wants to move at a faster tempo, with the chain, it's so one of the best abilities in the game right now, bar none. Like, just you land it on someone, big ol' hitbox, everyone looks at them, 20% extra damage, they just explode. That's cool, cut and dry, and might be the game plan for Whale Shark, move for New Queen Street. So it's gonna be odd, right? Typically we see the Lucio moving around and about. Both teams definitely have a Lucio player in them. So we'll see what happens on this first map. I'm excited.
Yeah, and I think there's some further implications there with the Lucio ban as well, right? Because that the removal of the extra movement speed buff that he provides is not really effectively replaced in this current meta. You have Juno, who has her Hyper Ring that's able to sort of provide that, but she's sort of fallen out of favor in terms of your support picks. You see, Cats, and you see Alaris, and you see Mizukis a lot more frequently than her, and Mizuki doesn't even get a speed boost up until, he gets this major perk online. So the early game is going to be especially volatile, and if you're playing push, that's exactly what you're aiming for here. As Whale Shark, they want to get off to an explosive start. They want to build up an early advantage, because the beautiful thing about push is any advantage you make is going to take double the effort for the enemy team to come and equalize you afterwards, right? And as we prepare ourselves to go into New Queen Street, I'm really looking forward to seeing if these teams are going to be able to either keep the script that was assigned to them, or maybe flip it upside down in its entirety. When we're looking at Black Crown, I got my eye out really heavily here on Shoreline Pie, who was a star player in the tournament last week. Popping off on the Sojourn, popping off on the Tracer, even with a little bit of Xion thrown into that mix. It's going to be a real battle of wits here to try and match them here on the side angles. And if you're not able to hang with the best, you really got to bring around a way for your team to combat it and potentially win some of those team fights through other-handedly methods.
Yeah, we're gonna see what these teams choose to roll out on in a couple seconds here. Egg.
Ready for battle.
All right.
Ball for Epic Shock. Epic Shock, a known Wrecking Ball player, so it does make sense that they want to lead into that a little bit, especially with that Hazard ban. Whale Shark on the Mizuki, big, great heads up play.
Yeah, I do also want to point out the Sigma has been a very important presence here. I am personally a Sigma denier. I think there's a lot of things that the other tanks can provide on top of him, but one thing that cannot be denied is the amount of space control that he has. And then also, very big difference between both of these teams is how they choose to solve the Lucio problems. Through technical only Alari versus can't catch Zats on the Mizuki. You mentioned before just how important that tether is, and already catches off the ball.
There it is.
Immediately leads to a death. What an exciting pickup there for Whale Shark.
Yeah, the alluded to chain 5-man look at him has occurred in the first 30 seconds of the game.
Then you lead that up again with Mafia looking extremely deeper, gets the kill onto the Alibi, and then gets traded out themselves. It is still a positive trade here for Whale Shark as they're continuing to gain distance. The ball was back very, very shortly. And then again, you're going to be continue to be chained up. Technical, able to take down Kamish is a massive source of healing now missing for Whale Shark. As we now see another pickup onto Kentacha. No supports remaining. Whale Shark, they gotta run or they're gonna die on the spot.
Yeah, kind of Epic Shock, not to not to be that guy, but that was a little funny on the ball there. It has been working out, I will say. That ball picking in those disruptions, kind of shaking things up in the backline, forcing a lot of investment just to heal or even try to kill the ball, which has been working out for Black Crown. That gives space for DPS to go in, get a pick, or the Illaris.
Yeah, that's served them very well. And you do see here, though, it's going to be a trade-off immediately. Krona gets traded back, and now Whaleshark are already 2 down. Struggling to stay into this fight, we see Epic Shock looking for an angle. Mullen on top of these supports. He's going to choose to play a little bit safe, though, as the cart continues to progress forwards. Black Crown are doing exactly what they need to secure that permanent progress.
Indeed. I mean, Epic Shock's just trying to continue being a thorn on Whaleshark's side here. Rolling in and out. It's a bit of not a bad strategy, building up to the mines eventually. But
yep. Mines into the back line do lead to a kill there onto Kamish. Both Kirikos are now down, and the Mizuki is being stared at directly by this Tracer. Ends up falling down to the sharp shooting of Alibi. Now it's just the Saturday to get rid of. Squid Up able to get a last hit onto Shoreline Pie, but ends up getting taken down themselves, and that's a first checkpoint secured for Black Crown.
Yeah, I mean, for Whaleshark, you might want to look at changing your strategy a little bit. We see Mafia swapping to the Xion now, no longer on the Tracer. Yeah, with more kind of better one-shot potential, a little better living potential. I see it just being a good choice overall. Epic Shock getting hit with the accretion and exploded immediately does spell good news for Whaleshark, but looking a little bit forward, both teams running up on 4 ultimates each. It will be a big messy fight. A lot will happen on our screen soon, but I think Whaleshark, I mean, should a good flux should just shut everything down.
A lot resting on Squid Up's shoulders right now, and we see the Captive Sun get popped immediately. This Kenkai Sanctuary is going to shield most, but not all, as we see 3 members of Whaleshark bite the dust. Squid Up is able to trade one back. I was looking for the kill, and Mr. Technical is able to achieve it. Still 2 on the board as Whaleshark struggling to stay in. Ayan is able to get that kill. Epic Shock is able to clean out the fights. And Whaleshark falls short with 2 ults left in the tank for next time.
Yeah, both teams kind of popping 2 ults to get the job done. I did like the Kekai Sanctuary to counter that Captive Sun, but I mean, it's that maybe a little early on the trigger. I feel like the Sanctuary maybe could have been put in a little bit of a better position, or kind of wait out the Captive Sun a little bit longer before a little more patience. I think would have paid off a lot. But same could also be said for Alibi getting taken out in the meantime.
Yeah, now you're stuck looking for an angle here. If you're Whaleshark, you're trying to force your way into this fight and try and get that card back. We see the Gravitic Flux immediately converts a kill here onto Ayan. Both the supports are removed from the field. Squid Up has been asked for a tall order, and they have performed admirably, giving Whaleshark that head up.
Yeah, I mean, Mafia getting that opening pick does help a lot too. A lot of that damage was gone. You get rid of that. You get rid of the Xion, does have the ultimate online. Actually, both of them will have their ults online for this fight. It will. I think these DPS ults will be the make or break for this engagement. We'll see. Ayan potentially with that Kitsune Rush could turn the tides a little bit.
Give the chain into the ball, but it's going to be the Rush that ends up taking down 2. And now Ayan is able to secure another pick here. Whaleshark are down 4 members, but Squid Up is the last remaining Bastion. There's not going to be an escape for you, and a pulse bomb is definitely a way to seal your fate. 67 meters on the board for Black Crown, and they're looking for more.
Yeah, Shoreline Pie padding stats a little bit there with that stick. I'll be honest, you didn't really need it there, but no, I respect it. Black Crown, and they only have the Kitsune Rush to work with here. Mafia, patiently holding the Xion ult here, waiting for the right opportunity to pop it. And Black Crown kind of respecting that, going to be backing up a little bit, giving up some space.
The City Rush from Ian here looking to start a fight in Blackcrown's favor, but it ends up going to be the Kiriko that pays the price herself, and now the Xion charging to this backline is not going to get the Mega, but actually walks into it after killing Sir Technical. The one going against the Tracer ends with a ball rolling on through this fight. Corona is able to pick up another kill there onto Alibi though, and the bot is back in Whale Shark's possession.
I mean, just a clean fight from Whale Shark, all things considered. Right? You buy space with the Xiano, you get a pick or two. In the midst of the chaos, Blackcrown invested their Kitsune Rush, couldn't capitalize on it at all. Now Epic Shock does have the mines. We see this guy pretty, a master with the mines every time it's been used.
Yeah, not quite able to make it into your own domain. Mizuki meets his own fates. And, Kamish as well meets a similar one. Now, Epic Shock is struggling, though, to stay on top of this point. As a result, Whale Shark continuing to get more progress. The Captive Sun gets tossed into this backline here. Xion gets popped as the result. And now it's just the lone Sojourn holding her way. Blackcrown are able to stop it yet again before the checkpoint was secured.
Yeah, a little devastating if you are Whale Shark. You can't, don't get the forward spawn, you don't get the animation, so now you gotta win the next fight, and then now you're stuck with that, and you're stuck with the little butt scratch, unfortunately. But Epic Shock kind of hanging off from the building, looking like Spider-Man out there right now, scouting for his next prey. But I mean, Squid Up with Flux should just seal the deal on this fight. But I think Mafia getting that opening pick should be enough.
Yeah, Mafia do as Mafia does. Always finding that early pick there onto the Kiriko means that Whale Shark are down significant sources of healing, and they're going to be forced to back up as a result, and this is going to potentially continue to open up this round. The Xion 1v1 leads to a bit of a disaster here for Mafia as they whiff the motorcycle and end up biting the dust. You see now, Whale Shark again back in possession of this payload. They're going to try to get a little bit more distance here. 1 minute 50 seconds left. The lights are starting to dim.
Like I mentioned, things not looking too good. Alibi just throwing the bike straight into the Tracer, getting another one onto Zad. I mean, it's not looking good for Whale Shark.
Yeah, and the Flux as well, used out of desperation mostly, is not going to find the desired results. And now you have Blackcrown, again, charging his way into your spawn. Alibi will, giving me a run for my own money there. And really continuing to proc that aggression, trying to find the angles, and 70 meters isn't enough. They're always shooting for more.
Yeah, especially with Corona getting picked off early, things not looking great for Whale Shark right off the bat. And they're gonna have to give up more meters here. I mean, Blackcrown with so many ultimates just to cycle the rest of the timer out.
Yep, mines dropped on your backline is always a bad sign. Corona is able to get the first pickup onto Shoreline Pie. The Rush is able to secure 1 kill onto Alibi. And stop me if you heard this one before, but Whale Shark wins the fight in their spawn and, is walking the payload back to neutral.
Yep. I mean, everyone will get forward spawn for Blackcrown, so it's kind of, there will be another scrap before really any meters can be picked up for Whale Shark. Swapping onto the Winston now, kind of looking to dive. Little interesting play, I will say. Corona on the Cassie, looking to get a good hinder onto the ball. Great way to stop any momentum from that tank.
Yeah, the Captain's done a little too ambitious. It's not going to result in any follow-up detonations. The Sanctuary is popped down on the point early to combat the Kitsune Rush from Blackcrown. It's going to be a pulse bomb eaten by the Storm. And Whale Shark are going to continue to press on. Losing your tank, though, is going to be rather difficult to continue to keep one on the point. Can catch that, is able to equalize the numbers with the kill onto Alibi. Now the Hyoon gets popped. It gets 1 kill onto the Tracer, of all people. Now the Cassidy has the world on his shoulders. Is he going to be able to continue to perform, or this ball continue to zone the team off at this point? The checkpoint is finally secured for Whale Shark.
Yeah, they're gonna get the butt scratch. That animation means that the spawn timers for Blackcrown heavily reduced. Squid Up returning on the ball, for that extra movement speed just to get back to the fight. Continue rush for Kamish to open things off.
And it's going to be a difficult time staying on this point if you're the ball. Staying on the point means you're less mobile, and you're really easy to target for a Cassidy Mizuki team together. It's going to be actually Whale Shark's own ball coming in to match them. It's going to be a headshot onto Shoreline Pie. Epic Shock's able to secure 2 kills in classic Shock fashion. And now Corona's able to almost secure another one. Challenge is able to finish it off. And now the Mizuki fighting for his life is not able to get in on this bit. And as the overtime wick burns down, Black Crown secure map number 1 in this series.
Yeah, Whale Shark, I mean, still looking pretty solid overall. You know, again, kind of what happened last week. The matches, like, they look really close, but simultaneously not close at all. It's kind of a bit of a weird situation. I think Whale Shark kind of warming up almost as the map goes on. So we see more signs of life towards the end, right? You know, swapping off of the Sigma onto the Winston. You know, inevitably having to go to ball eventually for the speed to touch, but you know, making those adaptations, albeit a little late, but you know, they're there nonetheless. We kind of see them, you know, push forward. We, you know, win a couple fights. Of course, at the end of the day, unfortunately, like, pushing in overtime is just an uphill battle, and you know, Whale Shark not really quite able to climb over that. So it's, I would say, you know, like, does bode well for kind of the next map for Flashpoint. But we'll see what ends up happening. Again, I feel like the bans are also going to determine a lot of what goes on in the next map. So
yeah, and it was just a really scrappy fight overall, and I do have to give props there. Whale Shark did not go silently into the Knights. You saw Black Crown, they initiated an early lead, and they were able to maintain that throughout all courses of the map. And even though Whale Shark, you know, they were winning their government-assigned fights, you know, they were winning the ones where they were supposed to in their spawn, but it was that matter of consistency and trying to win 2 fights, 3 fights in a row that makes push extremely difficult if you want to, you know, have any score on the board at all. And now, you know, making our way over to New Junk City next, it's really going to be a breath of fresh air, I feel like, for both of these teams, right? Because while it is another momentum-based maps, you don't have any resets, you don't have any resets. You are more so forgiven if you have a rough start, because once the flashpoint is secured, you're just going to be able to go to the next one, and both of them are going to start at 0-0. You're not, you know, fighting from a 50-meter deficit.
Yeah, so it is kind of, yeah, like you mentioned, cleaner restarts, you know, new point's a new point. Of course, you'll still have stuff like ultimate economy and like overall just general kind of positioning and staging to worry about, but you know, new point's a new point, right? You start things over, get a fresh, clean, new slate on things, and yeah, for Whale Shark, I really want to see a maybe moving towards that kind of dive look that we saw towards the end of New Queen Street, or like kind of like a more brawly, right? Like, I think they had the Sigma in there, the intention being, you know, like you get the accretion for the CC, you have a shield for the peel, you have survivability, and then on top of that, right, you just pump out damage. Unfortunately, the drawback to that is that you're just not mobile. You don't have really much of a speed character to deal with to help you, right, with the Lucio ban. Question. So maybe we'll see something similar, kind of moving towards that more brawly style we saw, you know, Winston, you know, Xion, Cass, right? You know, sort of semi-brawly, good at poke, great up front. You see Whale Shark with the first ban onto Kiriko, Black Crown with the ban onto Malga.
Yeah, I mean, the Kiriko ban really opens the door to a lot of different strategies that Whale Shark could bring in. You know, obviously your Anas are going to be a lot more valuable here, especially if you're running a dive composition. Also, you know, Junker Queen has a lot of a better time with Kiriko out of the picture. You've got less utility to really save you from a lot of these dive characters as well. If you're able to get a stick with Freya, if you're able to have a Tracer, you know, running in deep on somebody, you're going to have a lot less peel to be able to protect you. And that Malga ban, it feels very preemptive, it feels very targeted, considering this is Flashpoint, where you will have to be in this Malga's face and you will have to take the brunt force of that shotgun, or of those miniguns, sorry. But one really big thing here is seeing all the DPS escape unscathed. It means that, You know, both of these teams are very confident in their shooters. And one really big thing that we're going to see continue to develop is the Xi'an rivalry, you know, between Alibi and Mafia. Both of them were popping off extremely hard there on map number 1. We even got the pleasure of seeing them duel each other directly one-on-one a couple times. You know, how is that going to continue onto this next map, and how is the matchup going to evolve?
Yeah, the DPS skirmishes will probably be the defining factor of this map. We'll see if there are any substitution for these teams if we get things going on New Junk City. Again, like, I want to see the brawl. Will we see it? Who knows? I guess we'll find out shortly. Maybe I'm smelling a potential Ramatra pick from these teams, from one of these teams.
I can see it. Ramatra's in a pretty decent spot. I was also thinking the potential of, you know, nobody really rolls out on Orisa round 1, but come on, I think there's some decent potential here for an Orisa pickup to make some serious headway.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Especially, like, right? Like, if you have to be up in a face, especially, I think Orisa, a pretty underrated pick if you're going up against someone like a Ramatra or a Hazard. Will we see Hazard? I think there's a chance as well, right? Brawl, gap close, you know, just overall good damage, great at isolation with a jagged wall. So, see as the music draws longer, the saxophones keep getting louder. I don't know. Yeah, we wait to load in.
You know, one of the things that puzzles me about New Junk City is, you know, what are the differences between this and Saravasi? You know, why is this, you know, sort of the neglected child even after seeing its reworks? And if I want to put my finger on it, I think it's definitely that, you know, that similarity between all of the points. You don't really, if you're on the point itself, you don't really have power positions. A lot of them are tucked away or out. They're either tucked underneath a high ground, or it's, you know, out in the open, and you just kind of don't really have anywhere to hide from your opponents. Looking forward to seeing who these teams pick up, and Squid Up, they might have been listening to the stream, it's already in a Orisa hover.
Oh yeah. Yeah, already thinking ahead, probably. I mean, ObsKachow staying on the ball. See a little teleport out of spawn for Shoreline Pie over there, but staying on the ball here will be interesting for something like Flashpoint. You know, the mode where you're kind of intended to be more together and brawl. The Whale Shark, you know, adapting to that Kiriko ban with the Juno and Rig. A little bit of a throwback on the meta throwback.
Ball finding its way into the backline, but it gets hindered immediately. ObsKachow is not happy about that one. Already sent back to the spawn room. Losing your tank means that you really just have to surrender this first cap. Whale Shark already off to better starts than they had in that previous round, as it's been a mostly clean fight.
Yeah, again, the strategy of just exploding the ball works really well. We see immediately ObsKachow deciding that was, you know, that was not fun. Gonna swap over to the Sigma now, which does have a little bit of a better time here again, right? Like I mentioned, you know, you're able to shield, you're able to kind of, you have some peel, you have CC. You know, overall, we'll have a bit of a better time, but walking into an Orisa is still a bit of an uphill battle for, you know, for Sigma, as we kind of see that in action right now.
And we see Alibi, though, preying on you tonight, taking this Juno off the board, but it's going to be a point flip over to Black Crown, as now they're struggling to continue to, you know, really contain the power of this Orisa. Oh, let me Shoreline Pie, Alibi picking out the supports from behind her. Even though Squid Up was able to trade one back, it's all for naught, as, you know, Black Crown comes out victorious.
I will say, you're not mad about that one, right? And forced to invest that overclock from Shoreline Pie makes it a little more costly. And, you know, kind of, I'll be honest, I wouldn't have expected him to have that there either. So not really, you know, not too much on Whale Shark, right? Like, it's definitely a bit of a surprise that was there. And you know, going into this, Whale Shark themselves almost have all 5 of their ultimates. Black Crown not going to be anywhere close.
Alibi forced into an early retreat does mean that Whale Shark have free reign on this side angle. They continue to rotate here around this point. They sent the Orisa down to really play in the pig pen. We see the orbital ray get popped immediately in front of this window. It's going to be a Terra Surge to pull everybody in. There's going to be a double kill here. The Sojourn Baptiste is off of the board. Alibi's able to take one back. Pops the rush to try to get more, but the hero play is not going to work, and the beat was ill invested. Black Crown lose that fight, and the cap goes back over to Whale Shark.
Ooh, so that beat was a little too hopeful, a bit too ambitious from Oracle. The only excuse is, oh, I'm gonna swap, but it doesn't look like that's gonna be the case. So I'm a little disappointed that happened from Black Crown. A little bit of over-investment, even from Whale Shark.
Wow, the Death Blossom from Kona picks up the 3, only leaving Epic Shock alive to tell the tale. But alas, it wasn't meant to be, as Whale Shark claim point number 1 in pretty decisive fashion, minus that one fight they got caught off guard with an overall. But we can dismiss that, right? Didn't happen. But circling back to that fight before that one, again, like Whale Shark, I feel like did not need to throw in that many ultimates. I mean, the Xion ult invested, to counter that, like already like a winning fight, they pop a rally and everything. I mean, it just feels like a lot, but I mean, back on this fight, though, I mean, a great opening pick from on the Shoreline Pie. Yeah, the Dire Trigger's really sending her effective range, and Epic Shock also gets picked off just by this hold W tactic that Orisa excels at very much. And now you see Whale Shark, clean sweep, clean first cap, and now they're going into this next fight. You've got a High Noon available to yourselves. While it's not a big headline ultimate, it might be very useful here at burning a lot of time, as Shoreline Pie has this overclock and is raring and ready to go.
Epic Shock back on ball, despite getting absolutely exploded, and Whale Shark has not swapped at all, so it's a bit of an interesting choice.
Yep, nice pickup there from Chaco, man, able to get 2 kills just by diving the enemy team outside of the choke points. And even though Alibi is that straggler, is not going to really be able to do much. And Whale Shark, they've secured a mighty 45% of this point already. Oh, what a stagger.
I mean, at that point, that's just a pick, I would say. Just like how, I mean, yeah, Epic Shock looking to be a little annoying, right? Best doing what Ball does best. Both teams kind of running up on their ults. Everyone going to be having that online except for Epic Shock. Will lead to a very interesting, very messy fight. I want to see Whale Shark maybe be a little more conservative with their ults here. But we'll see what happens as the fight boils down. Again, Epic Shock just looking to be a thorn on the side. Oh my goodness.
Able to make their way in. The rally shuts down their momentum and ultimately shuts down their life. Chaco, man, able to secure a second kill. And there's not really much left in the tank here for Black Crown. They're forced to take their L's where they were handed them. And, Whale Shark find themselves already at this flashpoint match point.
Yeah, I mean, Epic Shock probably, just feels comfortable on the ball, but, like, you are playing a comp that will get eaten alive. If you are playing Wrecking Ball, right? Like, it's just, like, there comes a point when, like, it might be while it is the comfort pick, it's just, like, so bad for you, right? Like, I don't know, I'm just not a fan of this ball pick.
The flank here from Can't Catch That is going to be Alibi trading back 1 kill against Bugbears. And then the Hinder ultimately stops the ball from moving, but Epic Shock is able to put them 6 feet under. Now you have the ball continuing to look for more. Epic Shock gunning this Brigitte down, is able to find the kill eventually. And now in the bloody 3 for 3, we see Epic Shock continuing to search for more. The mines get dropped down on top of this point. We see the Reaper TP onto the high ground looking for more. Orisa forced to retreat at 1 health, and the cap goes over to Black Crown.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing a good job of stalling it out, though. We see Corona kind of being a little annoying there just to try to not give up as much free percentage as possible. Whale Shark doing a great job of actually just stalling things out, dragging it out, making it really hard for Black Crown to cap. Very, very expensive fight for both these teams.
Yep, the Amplification Matrix does get dropped, but so does Iron, as to the hands of Chaco. Man, the overdrive is able to shut down Corona in the 1-for-1 trade. Now we see the air battle continue. Alibi's not able to make those shots land. Unlike Shoreline Pie, able to shut down, can't catch that. And now the Cassidy might be a little bit too much. No, it's not for the railgun. And now ObsKachow finds themselves in a difficult position. Squid Up is able to secure 2 kills of their own, though, and with this point that was flipped mid-fight, they're able to continue to stall things out further.
Yeah, honestly, a bit of an interesting evolution here. Like, if we look at Black Crown's comp on the Pharah, Zenyatta, definitely a little interesting. Probably just looking for the damage as they trade out supports.
Yeah, ObsKachow left the safety of his Ray and ultimately paid the price for it. And now you see this fight continue to rage on. Mirissa is not able to hold on to her life. And ultimately, Black Crown, they were able to strike back and they were able to get this points recaptured. But that was 77% of the point to Whale Shark all over the course of one fight. That could have been it. That could have been done for Black Crown already.
Yeah, it was such a scrappy fight, too. I mean, but, you know, Whale Shark looking to stay on this comp. I feel like now Black Crown kind of evolved a little bit. I do like these swaps coming in. The Zenyatta, I was a little questioning of it at first, but I think, getting that Discord Orb in play is just so useful for exploding anyone. Alibi with an environmental.
Wow. And
an Epic Shock,
environmental
too.
kill from Epic Shock as well. Getting rid of that Cassidy, and even though the Death Blossom was popped, it's too little too late. Definitive victory for Black Crown on this point. And, you know, they're keeping their hopes alive.
Yeah, like, if I'm Krona here, I think I just, like, this is just a situation where I think you just kind of have to give it up on that Reaper. It looks like we're going to see a swap over onto the Tracer now. I do like this a lot more, especially, you know, the Zenyatta is going to be pretty isolated most of the time. So, you know, getting that flank in, kind of get some damage, get some poke, distract him, make it so he can't pop out as much damage. Rally invested, traded for the overclock.
Trying to find any targets. Roland Pie is seeming to be at a lack of them. As Whale Shark already have a dominant position here on this point, not able to get that full cap first. So with the Discord Orb falls first. Now down your tank, down your Cassidy. It's a really tall order here for Whale Shark as Black Crown are able to come out on top, get this cap.
Yeah, Black Crown now just kind of playing around their damage sources more, which has been proving to be pretty strong so far, right? Like, Iron swapping over to Zenyatta, pumping out that extra damage with the orbs and just with Discord as well. And, you know, the Pharah pick into a comp that likes to ball together, that probably does not have too much that can deal with you, maybe besides the Cassidy shooting at you every so often. We see a complete backline swap for Whale Shark, though. Baptiste and Mizuki.
Now I see Epic Shock there, just biding their time, going in deep when needed, and able to retreat. Is able to knock 2 off of the high ground. As a Baptiste with the Discord Orb, it's going to be a beat, and on top of a Tranquility here to keep the team alive, but it's not enough. Shoreline Pie, Alibi, Oracle, all score kills on the board. It's going to be a barrage just for barrage's sake, and they continue to finish off that kill. Black Crown, hold on.
I'm not a fan of that beat Transcendence. Probably a little bit of a miscommunication there, but you know, they win the fight, right? That's all said and done. ObsKachow swapping to a Moira Roadhog from Squid Up. I believe we did see this last week, and that was a little. I mean, it was impressive. I will say, kind of was the secret ace in the hole that did make things a little more even. So hopefully we see kind of a similar performance here. I think the Roadhog, honestly, a pretty underrated pick into this because you can just isolate someone and explode them really easily. Everyone's very squishy and there's just not a lot of peel from any of the characters from Black Crown. So.
Yeah, and we find ourselves at match point, potentially series point. And, you know, Whale Shark, they've got everything on the line. It's going to be a stick here onto the Lucio. Performing under pressure. Good job, Krona. Looking on further here onto Shoreline Pie. He's able to find the one clip. Take them down. And now further, Epic Shock is looking to trade one back. It's actually Alibi that secures the kill, but ends up falling shortly after themselves. The first point cap is all but secured now for Whale Shark.
Yeah, again, this Roadhog is a pretty menacing presence. Black Crown don't really have much in the arsenal to explode this Roadhog. Well, they do now. Oracle swapping to the Ana. Would have been an interesting pick. Overall, again, considering that you are playing against a Tracer and a Cass, and still the Hook, right? Very
nice headshot there from the overclock onto the Tracer, able to get a second up kill. And didn't I tell you? You gotta watch out for Shoreline Pie.
Yep. That, I mean, just a clean textbook fight win with one ultimate. Overclock from Shoreline Pie finds so much value. Squid Up back onto the Orisa. Not. Definitely the Roadhog experiment has ended, especially I think after seeing Oracle swap to the Ana. Decided it was time's over. Both teams, running up on their ultimates again. Krona, I'm expecting to see a really, really good pulse here coming up soon. Probably gonna have to be the, the ace in the hole. Considering that there is a transcendence from my end, that they're gonna have to deal with.
Yep, twirl at high noon, looking for an angle. Gets booped away a little bit too far to make use of it. We do see Alibi sneaking up from behind. Is able to shut down Oracle. It's a massive source of healing gone. It's going to be a beam from Moira shutting down Alibi. And now you have the Sanctuary to play in on the point as well. Shoreline Pie is the next one to fall. Iron shortly after that. Well, Shark with a nice fight win and a point cap.
An amazing opening pick. I mean, that's just how it's done, plain and simple. If you're trying to win a fight, trading support ultimates just wasn't enough. I mean, the barrage damage just completely, almost just negated, disappeared, like it didn't happen. Even like it wasn't even in the Sanctuary or anything. Just a great kiting from Whale Shark overall.
You see this engage now from Epic Shock. It's not able to result in much, but it's actually Aino who finds the pickup here onto Fuecoco. The supports are traded back. And now Squid Up is able to secure a second kill now onto Shoreline Pie. A massive source of damage for the team gone. Alibi bites the dust as well. And as the curtains begin to close, the Pulse Bomb is sent out. Doesn't find its mark. But Whale Shark are ultimately the ones left standing. They're able to cap the point. They cap the map in general. And they tie this series up 1-1.
Yeah, Whale Shark picking up their first map of the season. And we have a series on our hands. Again, like, I think Whale Shark, just kind of picking up some momentum from first map and also even just from last week, right? Like, slowly building up to that critical inflection point where you see it kind of almost poetically, like in the very middle of their season, middle of the middle game of the season, we're gonna see a little bit of life. I am interested to see what goes on from here. Like Black Crown, what are they gonna do to kind of keep bring themselves back into this, especially when we move into a map like Dorado. Payload pretty probably like some of the more textbook momentum maps is Payload overall. You kind of win a couple of good fights and it's just kind of you snowball everything from there. Conversely, on the defense, right, you win like a fight or two and then all of a sudden like you just full hold them. So it's fair, I would say, of all the different map types, like Payload, one that's very momentum based, very snowball heavy, kind of like push in that sense as well. So we'll see how what the adaptations come in. I'm glad that we have a map 3. We haven't seen a lot of map 3s yet this season, so
yeah, I like the way that you put it. We're really picking up these teams that were in really high pressure, kill heavy environments, and we're plopping them into your strategic Overwatch, right? You're gonna have your defined your attack and your defense, and we're gonna see where these team strengths really lie and how they're going to be able to really handle not just the fight to fight, but the momentum of the flow of that round overall. And this is a really big potential here for both of these teams to really demonstrate to us that they've got what it takes. One of the big things, like one of the big sticking points in that series, is just how adaptable both of those teams were. I mean, halfway through, you know, after Black Crown lost the first 2 points, we saw a massive shakeup in their draft. You know, they were running Zenyatta Lucio, which is practically unheard of. And then you pair that up with a Pharah as well that we hadn't seen from Alibi yet this season, right? You're throwing a lot of variables at the wall, and Whale Shark, while it did take them a moment to react, ultimately they did. And the swaps that they made towards the end there, you know, bringing back that Cassidy, having the Orisa really be that sticking point for the rest of the team, and then Krona on the Tracer just really ripping up that backline, you know, that's what you're looking for from a team of this caliber.
Exactly. And yeah, I like the adaptations that came in. It kind of did provide, you know, did help to claw back a little bit, but yeah. We'll see now moving into Dorado, right? Like, we're done playing Overwatch 2. We're back to Overwatch 1. You know, nice classic Dorado coming in. Yeah, right? Like with the defined attack and defense, with the, you know, more structured objective based, you know, it's just a classic, right? Push the payload. It's a classic of every objective based game. And we're gonna see the ban starts coming in. Black Crown, having lost that map, will get that first ban. Gonna be taking Winston out of the equation, so no monkey business on Dorado. Illari for Whale Shark, so they're probably thinking, you know, not trying to run up against a poke comp. The Illari did do quite a lot of damage on New Queen Streets. Not too surprised at that.
Yeah, I mean, removing the Illari is, you know, really kneecapping your competitors when they have, you know, such a significant fragger, right, in that supporting role. You know, Sir Technical, what was really hanging up with the DPS is, like you said, in terms of damage dealt, in terms of eliminations especially. So removing that factor is given. And then Black Crown as well, right? They have very much shown their preference here to running the ball. They've been sticking it through and through thick and thin. So having it come up into this next map, they're just removing tools from your opponent's arsenals. You know, Winston having that cleave, having the anti-armor passive where he just cleaves right through it. He's going to have a lot that is able to, you know, really shut you down. Now, there are still a lot of alternatives that are available to Whale Shark if they so choose to take them. But, I mean, that's one of the beauties of playing Dorado is when you're on the defending side, you got a lot of options, actually, that you can play around. Do you want to run that Sigma that you were before? Do you want to run, you know, maybe the Ramatra, who's able to both provide you with a shield and also really get quick and dirty with it and, you know, fight face-to-face? Or are you going to, I don't know, run somebody like a Diva, for example, who has a lot of that great utility and has a lot of really good damage now to boot? It really depends on, you know, what this team is looking for, and I'm excited to see what their answer is to this map. How are they going to solve it?
Yeah, it will be interesting. From just my experience on this, you generally want to run a dive, especially on attack, and you generally want to run a bit of a more pokey, more stationary comp if you're on the defense. Could run dive on both, and then Dorado kind of being one of the more interesting maps in Overwatch, where each of the three points of the map are completely different. Have varying geometry to the point where you almost like need to do a comp swap between them. It's so, you know, how will these teams adapt? We see the hazard for Squid Up, which, you know, both a dive, good on dive, good on brawl, dishonest character. You know how it goes, and that's paired with the looks like a cat bastion. For Whale Shark, this okay, all right.
We're not going to toot the horn too fast. Okay, it's a Cat Cassidy for now, and then we'll burn them at the stake if they end up picking up that bastion. I'm keeping an eye on you, ObsKachow, but you know, as we're looking here further, Alibi drops off the map this early on. I mean, good pick for Krona, of course, and ultimately Epic Shock is able to trade it back. We see Sir Technical with the double dinks onto Krona themselves, and okay, there's the Cat Bash. Can we burn him at the stake now?
Ooh. Yeah, they're just waiting, biding their time, waiting for the respawns to come in. I think Alibi kind of forgot where the ground was there. Did just accidentally step off. Pretty funny, I will say. There is that Cat Bastion execute.
Yeah, it gets dropped on, and you know, Squid Up was already able to secure the kill into Shoreline Pie, but I'm sure that the backup is appreciated. It's going to be a trade back there onto Krona yet again. Poor soul. But now the sleep onto Hazard does buy this on a little bit more time, but Ian has nowhere left to run. Alibi.
Whoa, Alibi!
Able to pick up a pick and trying to follow up here on the nicely placed anti. Epic Shock is able to secure that kill, and now falling back over to the health pack means Genji is now safe. And Whale Shark, they really got to rethink this attack.
Yeah, Black Crown somehow just kind of pulling a win out of thin air. Able to really prove that this, you know, they are forced to be reckoned with. They almost take out Epic Shock, not gonna be able to. That Wrecking Ball very close to mines already. Yep. They're honestly pretty surprising, I will say.
Yeah, the mines do get deployed onto this back line. Not going to see any immediate results from it. Cat Bastion continuing to fly from above. Hazard diving in this back line, just tempting fate. Gets slept ultimately. Gonna be Shoreline Pie yet again biting the dust. Sir Technical dropping on a low HP. Just struggling to hand in there. The Cat ultimate does knock down Epic Shock and ultimately spells out his demise. Now Alibi continuing to hold in there on the point. Eventually gets finished off. And now Whale Shark has secured the first point. Finally.
Yeah, it did take them a little bit of effort, a little bit of time, but they, you know, like you said, they'll get it eventually. And they're pushing forward. I mean, they have a decent amount of time on to make this attack work. Black Crown not really swapping just yet, probably looking for that ultimate cycle to see if they really want to invest in changing up the picks. Both teams kind of good on ultimates. Four for each side. It will be another ult fest probably in this next fight. I want to see some shenanigans with the Cat, maybe with the Blossom. I think would be very interesting to see. Yeah, there's definitely many calls being made now. Cat, pick me up, pick me up, pick me up. It's going to be the Kitsune Rush, though, that really clears off this high ground. It's going to be the Nano Blade from Alibi, not quite finding its mark, and instead is going to get a fistful of bullets. The Kiriko is able to teleport away. Ultimately, Fuecoco is the one that finishes the job. And you already have Whale Shark able to progress this point most of the way with little congestion. Yeah, I mean, Zat does get taken out, so it does make things a little harder to fight. We see Squid Up getting, you know, eliminated by Ian, just uncontested on that high ground. It's going to force the rest of Whale Shark back, but that cart moved so far on a fight that you lost. Yeah. To be fair, right, Whale Shark invested a significant amount of ults there. They got that Kitsune Rush, they used the downpour on Hazard. So it was a really big win for Black Crown to have, right? Yeah, but like you also use Nano Blade. I mean, you swapped off the Genji now, but like still, like, no ult. Like you also invested 2 ults into it, so it's a fairly even trade overall, I feel. Epic Shock with the mines back online. Yeah, and it's gonna be the dive there onto the Kiriko in the backline. Doesn't even have to bop the mines. Can't catch Zach. His hands can't stay with that. And ultimately, it's going to be the rest of the team dismantled shortly afterwards. Whale Shark go down with nothing being used. Yeah, all the gas, I mean, just completely just taken out from Whale Shark. And it's just, like, it's not looking good. I mean, like, you know what? Like, I wanted to see those, like, signs of life from Whale Shark. Things kind of slowed down a lot now. What a high dude. Oh. And the Suzu just held them in there just long enough to be able to pull that trigger, but, you know, ultimately, it's still heavy casualties here on both of these sides. You see the Hazard continuing to stay in the fight, looking for a short re-engage here, as maybe Krona might have missed the memo there, almost losing their head. Yeah, but they will, no, they'll be fine at the end of the day after everything has been said and done. Again, ultimate's back online. Nano boost onto the wall. Yep. Ultimately does do a lot of damage, actually. Shoreline Pie is able to finish it off with the bleed. Now Bastion out of the picture. The Kiriko is removed shortly after that. And Whale Shark, where did that first point attack go? Where is the confidence? Where is that aggression? You're really running out of time here. You've got 1, maybe 2 attacks left. You gotta pull it together, guys. Yeah, Krona is just gonna get staggered. Chooses to invest the Death Blossom, which is a great heads-up play. A bit of a late ult from Fuecoco, but at the end of the day, I mean, just a great pick.
Now the Reaper TP's up onto this high ground. Can catch Zad, is going to use the Cassini Rush, but ends up falling victim to the mines. Now you have Ball diving in on this back line. ShacoWman is able to shut down Alibi on the high ground, but Shoreline Pie trades it back again. And Black Crown, they looked like they were behind. They looked like they were licking their wounds. But they were able to come back rather quickly into this fight. We see Sir Technical pop the rush, gets popped immediately after that. And now ShacoWman just trying to drop onto this point, keep it alive. The overtime burning down as SquidUp is able to touch yet again. Fuecoco, they're looking for that dive in. Shoreline Pie is able to shut them down with the high noon. Now as the fight rages on, Whale Shark are continuing their trek back from the spawn. The Kiriko TP barely escapes death as SquidUp is the one to take the bullets for them. And you have this Ball continuing to displace people on top of this point. You see ShacoWman fall at the last second. Can't catch Zad, is not able to scatter away, and the Tracer falls to Shoreline Pie. Black Crown able to hold things together at the very last moment there on that second point.
I mean, that was such a messy final fight, but for Black Crown, a lot of that was just heroics being pulled off. Shoreline Pie, just kind of zooming out a little bit, like the downpour that started the entire engagement, Shoreline Pie, I believe, was caught out on the side there, but just barely out of vision, no one able to follow up on him, just behind a corner, and I mean, that was really the one kind of critical thing that needs to happen that allowed the fight to really turn, because you don't take him out of the fight, he just kind of stays there, chilling. As I believe we're getting a World Cup update in the match chat with a Messi penalty shot. But we, enough about, we're watching the real competition.
Well, yeah, don't let Messi distract you, because we might have our very own one in this lobby. I mean, did you see Epic Shock's KDA? That was 24-8 and 1. They had 1 death in 24 limbs. That's crazy talk.
Well, hello.
Who's running the lobby? I got.
We'll see if Cape Verde able to pull out some heroics in the World Cup, and we'll see if Whale Shark able to pull out a win on this map to put themselves on the board for the season. As we see the Cat Bastion once again.
Looking for another angle. I mean, the Cat Bastion, well, it is unethical. At the end of the day, a win is a win, and you go for what you've got. SquidUp is holding a rather aggressive angle here on this defense, waiting to see if it will pay off. At least it's off to a better start here with Alibi staying firmly on the ground this time around.
Yeah, so Technical able to get out of harm's way in the nick of time, but we'll just die to ShacoWman.
Yeah, but ShacoWman finding 2 picks, Alibi and Epic Shock able to trade it back. SquidUp is able to get that last hit there onto Alibi as they dash away, ultimately keeping things stable for the time being, as both of these teams need a moment to reset.
Yeah, but the spawns for Whale Shark so far away that it's any pick is advantageous, even if you lose, in such a fashion. If you're able to get 1 or 2 in your favor, like, you're going to be able to get some momentum, because Whale Shark, they have to concede space as they wait for their team.
Yeah, we see Epic Shock doing what they do best, continuing to find these dashes into the spawn. ShacoWman shuts down Shoreline Pie again. We see Alibi deflecting in front of the team, but now he has no cooldowns left to keep him up. Is going to fall after to SquidUp, and now with the kill there onto Ian, this attack is shut down yet again. Whale Shark continue to hold on.
I think the Cat Bastion with the hazard, like, I think just from a gameplay loop standpoint, just so much better on defense than on attack. Okay, like you're able to hold these oppressive angles where Black Crown, they need to push into you, and you have a Bastion on one side who's hyper mobile, flying through the air. You have a Hazard on the other that's jumping into your backline with a dash, and it makes it so much harder. And now you have a Sky Noon.
Oh, it's a Fly Noon even, and the flyby doesn't really work, as Corona instead just gets dumped to their own devices. Go be free, my child. ultimately, now we see ObsKachow continue to look for an angle, trying to really break the mold for their team. It's going to be a Nano Blade in tow.
Oh
Just
my
when they're
god.
ready for it. Wow, Shoreline Pie gets collapsed on. There's not much you can do when you're doving like that. Jocko Man now is tasked with the difficult duty of escaping. The wall itself is what takes down Alibi. And the other supports in the back line got nothing to do but to run away and scream as the Hazard is here to take them down.
Yeah, that was just a dive bomb onto that Cassidy. That was a little premeditated, if I may say so myself. But yeah, Whale Shark's just looking like a completely different team from what we saw at the end of their attack. Now, outside of the high noon, that's all ultimates online for these teams. It will get messy and it will be a flash of colors pretty soon. Black Crown, with the Nano Blade and the Mine, should be able to pilot this to a win.
Yep. Oh, the Nano Blade doesn't get the reset on the Bastion, and it's Sir Technical, though. Able to shut down Chrono. One of the defenders dead. Hazard down on the ground, gets anti-nated after the fact. Artillery now getting dropped down onto this point. The catnap onto Alibi as well, but nobody's able to follow up. Instead, it's going to be a Kiriko who uses the double Kitsune rush. The Bastion continuing to melt through the opposition. ObsKachow able to take them down without their precious cat. Black Crown have finally broken through that mold. Might have cast a curse that was split up onto this point. The downpour as well. The sleep is able to stop them from inflicting more havoc. Black Crown finally have the first point cap right as they ran out of time.
I'm not a fan of that downpour personally. You're the only one there alive for your team. No one else is even in like the same zip code. So I'm not a big fan of that. Yeah. At the end of the day, you're gonna want that ultimate. But...
I was feeling it.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, you can't be feeling it any longer. ObsKachow not able to get taken out. A little unfortunate for Whale Shark. But Krona with a great pick on the Shoreline Pie should open things up for the defense.
Now we now see these early on engages. Wow, Alibi taken off the board. And Black Crown has continued to be scattered to the wind. Both of these teams are low on resources, as you mentioned. There's going to be we're going to require some pretty clean fighting here, and the Cap Ash is going to do what the Cap Ash does best.
Yeah, ObsKachow failing his role there, kind of a little unfortunate, because I think it would have been really good to get some of those players off that high ground. But he will be engaging now instead.
Wow, Shoreline Pie able to shut down Krona as a key member of your team now removed. Whale Shark get further sent on back. The artillery strikes almost take Shoreline Pie down, but it's going to be a catnap over in that back line. The ball continues to survive. Shoreline Pie able to secure another kill there now onto Jocko Man. And the blade doesn't find anyone in particular to deflect, keeping him alive. And now 3 on the point. Is anybody going to be able to touch? It's going to be a considered nobody makes it on time as they fall. Black Crown emerge victorious in a nail biter I don't think anyone could have seen coming.
Yeah, Whale Shark, looked amazing in this match. If anything, just like very small micro differences, small mistakes kind of all added up, kind of leading to the loss. But if you're Whale Shark, right, you come into this, you take your first map of the season, and you're gonna be looking back on this like, all right, we took a map off of a really dominant team so far. Where can we go from here? Like, what can we build off of? And look, if you were to watch this match back, Whale Shark, if you are listening, I will say just like work on your engages, especially you're playing Cat Bastion, you're playing Hazard. You're gonna want to get up in their face. You're gonna really want to try to come in from multiple angles and kind of be, annoying in that. And didn't really see that all too much. Not to say that it wasn't around, right? Like you won your few fights. You played it really close. But at the end of the day, it was still a little unfortunate that they didn't walk out with that win. I was really hoping for it. It looked really good. When we started off the defense, pushing 4 minutes on that first point, almost full held them. But again, I think just maybe it was nerves, maybe it was the heat of the moment, right? I think if they save that downpour, I think the map's over. I think they just win.
Yeah, I mean, really struggling to stabilize there. Really did seal the deal. But hey, what happened. And, you know, Blackground continue to safeguard their #1 spot, being undefeated so far in the season. And Will Shark continues to really further fall into the void, right? We had some really high highs, but also some cratering lows. And when you're at a stage like this midway into the season, you really need to, you know, reinvent yourself, find a major way to turn the ship around, because even if, say, one of your, you know, fellow group mates is able to drop down to your record, if you're able to win the next couple series after this, your map record is permanent, and 1 in 6 so far in maps that is, I think, really going to hinder them later on in the tournament if we do end up getting into, you know, a tiebreaker situation.
Yeah, I mean, being 1 in 6 is not a great position to be in, though. Right, 2 more games in the season. They can equalize to 2 and 3, kind of sneak into that either 3rd or 4th place slot. Shouldn't put them all too bad. Taking that one map does help them a little bit, try to stay alive in the season.
Yeah.
But like all things considered, it's still not a great position to be in. Although, maybe they're a playoffs team. Maybe we'll see a Cinderella run. But I know for sure what we will be seeing. There is one more match on the broadcast today. Right after this, another B League game. We will be flying Blåhajar against those who crow. So more standing shakeups will be happening. Again, a really weird schedule for this weekend for those that are kind of just tuning in this match. We do have 4 games today. There's gonna be one at 8:15 on the B stream if we get people on the B stream. Match that was played yesterday. There's one game tomorrow, and all the other games are gonna be on Sundays. So we're gonna have a little bit of a Super Sunday action here. It is unfortunately, most of us are American. It is 4th of July, country's birthdays tomorrow. A lot of people going out and celebrating. So it is also just like a long weekend. Everyone's, people are traveling, people are having fun, people are throwing parties, and at the end of the day, regardless of whether or not you like it, or, whether your opinions on the event, at the end of the day, we all love a good party. Right? We all love a good get together.
Yep.
So
Plus rep to all the Canadians in the chat, in the stream. Happy Canada Day, belated. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I feel like we also got an MVP to shout out there. I did run away from us a little bit, but there's no one that I think is more befitting of that title than Epic Shock throughout that series. I mean, that tank ran lobbies on the ball, and outside of one rare occasion there on that flashpoint to keep things alive, didn't hesitate on the ball. Ran it the entire series through and through, and that pop-off performance, I think, on Dorado just really sealed the deal for me. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, the Dorado, it was close. I was thinking, like, okay, like they, especially like just playing ball into a comp that will like eat you alive, and coming out, relatively unscathed and unshaken is an impressive feat of its own. Again, at the end, it reaches into that comfort, right? Like, BPL, we're not operating as if we're the best players in the world. Like, OWCS, you're gonna want to lean into the meta a lot more than you're gonna want to lean into comfort. Here in BPL, we're here to have fun. We all just got together like a month ago, right? Like 3 weeks ago. For some of us, we've only played with our team, maybe a single-digit amount of times. So a lot of us not really super cohesive with everyone yet. We're not getting paid to play this game. So let's have fun. At the end of the day, that's our objective as a community. So, leading into that comfort, sometimes we'll just win you games, even if it's not the best possible option. And, with that banger of a map 3, I do believe we are now officially running a bit behind in classic BPL fashion. So let's not stall this out. This is not a talkament, right? This is a tournament.
Yep.
We're going to get you moving to that next game. So don't go anywhere. Stick around for the other side of this break.
Hello and welcome back to the BPL after one of our shortest breaks on record. Here we got the Flying Blåhajar versus those who crow. It's going to be an exciting matchup as we make our way over to the B group. And, back again. My name is Shammy, and to join me, as always, Jace. Jace, how you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Looking forward to it. This should be an interesting game. I'm really not sure which way this one will go. If we have enough time, Prod, could we just get a quick scope of the groups? I don't know if you've got that ready or able to publish it. We're just getting a quick check on this overall group that both these teams are in. I think would be fantastic. And here we go. So those who Crowan looking for their first win after getting a bye in week 2. They're now full strength, got all of their roster here, including Banana Shake, who will be making his debut today. Flying Blåhajar 1-1 after I think a surprising win. But overall, I think this Bard group, wouldn't say it's the strongest. I think teams 2 through 5 are all pretty similar, Charmy. So it's going to be an interesting one. I think there's a lot of parity in this group, whether parity because of high quality or parity because all of these teams are like the 2013 Charlotte Bobcats. Let's find out.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Now we do have the rosters on the screen now. Plenty of familiar faces. I personally have seen Flying Blåhajar perform last weekend in their series versus Hongsa. Now, it was a loss on their part, but they did not take those maps laying down. And now with the mix-up of the format this weekend, right now that we're going to be heading into Push, followed up by Flashpoints, it's going to be a very different opening set of maps this time around. Runasapi into Suravasa.
So,
you're going to be fighting to the death.
Darmy, it's important to note that Runasapi has been opened by a ball ban from Flying Blåhajar, and ball is Kiddo's #1 best tank. I think it's the best tank on this patch as well. They have kind of a ball OTP, and it's a tank that definitely requires target banning because the way that OTPs and ball mains really invest into the character gives them such a higher ceiling than basically any other character in the game. Like, you're not as scared as a hazard OTP as you are as a ball OTP. Interesting to know. You're going to leave ball open for Suravasa, which is, I think, the best ball map in the game. Push gives you a little bit of objective control because ball struggles, but once that ball team wins the control point on Flashpoint, they've got to defend it. It's really easy. Minefield is a terrific ultimate on Suravasa as well. So I think Blåhajar potentially messed up here, assuming that they did actually get the first ban. I might need to check from Prod. I think Blåhajar had the first ban this week, and elected to ban ball first, leaving it open for Suravasa. Charmy, I'm not going to mince words. I just think that's a mistake. We'll see how it plays out. I think you have to ban it on Sur.
Yeah, I do think that May is a pretty good character this time around, but potentially they were sort of at a loss of things to come up with to counter that ball ban. I mean, it can be a really big thorn in your side if you're playing a really brawl heavy or a rush heavy composition. But I do 100% agree with you, Jace. Having push maps which are notoriously wide open, you've got plenty of routes, you're not really funneled through those choke points that May can excel at. Banning her out now is definitely an odd choice.
Yeah, and I think that both teams kind of show their hand a little bit with the band. Those who Crow do have the option to throw Nyashus in on this one and go for a more Zarya focused comp, of which the May is obviously going to be good against because of the walls. Being able to split up your supports, who are going to be playing on greedy angles. So we're going to see Dosey Crow have a couple of one-tricks that are targetable, but the thing with the one-trick, Charmy and BPL, is when it's a first to 2, it's like the more one-tricks you stack, the better. Because if you've only got one trick, then it's just kind of a free map for a ban. If you've got 0, then it's like sometimes you can get a little bit like, oh, who do we ban? If you've got like out of a roster of 7, if you've got like 3 one-tricks, then sure, like 3 maps. But for every single map, 2 of the members of the team are getting their one-tricks, It's like you can't ban all the one-tricks all the time. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm actually not sure on the starting lineup that those who Crow are running as well, but we will either see it now or we will see it when we load into Runasapi. What do you think of how much push have you been able to cast in general, actually? Because Runasapi, I think, is the push map with the most, like, you're down 100 meters, but it's just somehow still fucking winnable material,
Yeah. I don't know. I think that push could be very divisive, right? It can be really difficult for your team to come back from, say, a 50-meter deficit a lot of the time, and then sometimes, like you said, you can come back from 100 meters down just like that with the snap of the fingers. And I agree with you. Servasa is definitely the map where Rinasapi is definitely the map I've seen that happen with the most. Now, looking at these team comps, we see Flying Blåhajar are going to roll out with the Sigma to start. Xion, Sojourn, standard run-of-the-mill, and even the support line as well. I do want to touch on, though, is Jace. What do you think the plan is for that Zarya?
So for the Zarya, I think it's just one of Naya's comfortable tanks. Banana Shake or Jan are going to be on a flex DPS, which is going to require bubbles. Naya, I think, sort of slowly getting back into the rhythm as a tank, it allows the Zarya to be just a bit more passive. I think Zarya obviously can function taking both bubbles, staying in that front line. But when you get to play a little bit akin to old Overwatch 1 Zarya, just give the to someone else. Shorter cooldown, more energy, more space, and anytime you create space,
wow.
Fainter just like dog walks up and gets his head taken off by the new character. Like, if you're dead, this is fire.
And we see January there as well, just being forced back through the sheer force of the chip damage, and then catching a motorcycle to the face as well. Those unaimed ones do even more damage if that was possible. We see Bubba Wyatt able to shut down Banana Shake, but not until they take a chunk here out of coolant, and down one of your supports is going to be a difficult fight to take head on. Good thing that Xion is rolling up from behind, able to do significant damage here on the Fainter, but January shuts him down. Now you have this Kiriko forced to TP out to safety, and those who Crow are continuing to hold on and preventing the bot from pushing further.
Yeah, Fainter dead twice is just like not a good sign going forward. Just that Lucio should be the one living the most. They're dependent on speeding people around, playing the off angle. Also providing a safety to the Kiriko as well. Now these mid fights should in theory benefit Nayasha to get the pocket. And that energy will be able to back check Bubba. But I've been told it's Bubba season and he's doing excellent so far in these games. So Naya's going to have a big full order ahead of them. Luckily, Breachade really doing well, trying to hold down lanes on that offense.
The Gravitic Flux already deployed. It's going to be a one-for-one trade already, but down a tank, those who Crow have a lot more resting on their individual shoulders. We see January get forced out around the signpost, able to protect them from the onslaught from the Sigma. But Flying Blåhajar find themselves pushing forward further, looking for this checkpoint.
Yeah, so I think the Crows are in a little bit of a head spin right now because Blåhajar forcing a little bit of a front to back. Lucio Kiri is about angles and is about map controllers. Fainter gets first picked again. That's 3 fights in a row. I'm going to keep the winning count. So honestly, I just think we should see a stop. A-Burns both cooldowns, but Tsutsune which comes out on top. That's too much damage. Those who go after losing Lucio decide to go quickly. Yet again, I should have thrown this ball over, I guess. Sorry, Shami, but like those who throw just really like throwing up and crying in some of these fights. Like we're playing Lucio Kiri, stacked on the same pixel, just taking infinite damage from Nameless and Bubba Wyatt.
I mean, it's a difficult fight to be around, right? Because you have to do something. The checkpoint's being captured, and Flying Blåhajar, they were just in a better position. And now the Graphitic Surge on this Zarya is going to prove to be an invaluable resource. The High Noon canceled there by a well-placed rock. The Surge is going to catch the Kiriko, shuts her down. And now the Zarya is stuck in the middle. The rush from Nameless is able to secure 1 kill. Bubba Wyatt Coolant as well, following up with more. And this push has turned into a disaster for Crow as it's easily already 100 meters plus.
Yeah, Blåhajar seemed really good taking the pressure. Like, C-Sharp dies and there's just no panic from Flying Blåhajar. Nameless rips the ultimate, finds a great timing with it. They seem comfortable going first in these fights that those who Pro just can't get themselves going. They seem even more going second. As I said, there's just been too many silly deaths from TWC so far. Nameless going to have the bike away main, but should potentially fall for this. Yeah, awful ride away.
Yeah, the Sanctuary just not inside of it. Now it's going to be the beat mid-Gravitic Flux. Ballsy move, but it pays off in the attacking team's favor. Those who Crow finally able to secure themselves a fight win. And now it's time to put that theory to the test, Jace. Do they have what it takes to come back from 100 meters?
Okay, so Flying Blåhajar have got 5 really high impact ultimates, I think. So in theory, Flying Blåhajar, if they understand, they don't need to win every fight. Honestly, I think the way that the numbers work, you go about 40% fight win rate for the net, basically from now until end of the map, and you're good. And you can force 40% fight win rates by 2 ultimates. Just do the numbers. It's a whole long division problem, etc. Speaking of, Naya gets so over-aggressive. Again, just those who throw fall early in a fight, but it looks like trying to overforce something is disrespectful. Yes, it's like, the fact they get to walk the ball all the way back, just with overclock again, you can see how much of a mountain this is to TWC.
Yeah, I was about to say that it seems like Rainbow didn't get your memo about the 40% fight win rate, but turns out an overclock is all you need to win a fight like that, and, you know, shutting down that Winston. And now Flying Blåhajar, again, in another position where they're pushed up extremely far into those who Crow's spawn, and they don't really have that many ultimate abilities left in the stock. So it's going to be a very high turbulence fight, as they're both struggling for control.
Yeah, and those who Crow, I think, hopefully trying to switch comp to be a bit more active. I think they really struggled on that Lucio Zarya to just play their heroes properly. And we're talking about that after the map, because for now, Flying Blåhajar committing hard with the Kitsune, which Naya just fucking does.
Yep. You already see 2 kills flying the way over to Flying Blåhajar's disaster for Crow, as now the supports are trying their best to get away. You see this Kiriko backed up into a corner, is able to TP out to the Wu Yang. And now 123 meters is not enough. Flying Blåhajar pushing for it all, and they're going to be able to get it with the kill onto the Winston. No! He escapes at less than 10 HP up onto the top ropes. Now he's going to have the Primal prepared and ready to go for this next fight. Those who Pro, they gotta force and they gotta do it.
Absolutely, and every second those who Crow aren't actually moving the bot is just winning. Oh, okay, just pick better Rainy Dude. Okay, Primal Rage coming out. Let's see how Chinese it really is. How Chinese is it? Wait. Not very. Oh my god, it's awful.
No, I think that's the most English-speaking Primal I've seen.
That's a very very Western chat. That's a very Western Primal from Naya. On the one hand, though, it did make enough space, but honestly, it's been quiet this map. And I just think, to be honest, again, I'll talk about it more after the map. I don't think Banana Shake has been allowed to play the game. I think Naya and Vayner have just been falling for their DPS can actually play the game, actually shoot people. A big fight win, at least it made space. Those who Crow, again, it's such a mountain to climb, right? You should expect Blåhajar to just win the map from here. This would be a monumental for Flying Blåhajar to lose this map with 3 minutes left across 132.
Yep, Flying Blast on top of a Bracer ultimately gets chained down, and that saves the lives of 3 members of the Blåhajar backline. Gravity Flux is used, Banana Shake falls yet again. Ultimately, K and C Sharp were traded out, so no Kiriko's left on the board. January removed from the picture as well. Those who Pro simply don't have the numbers to stay in this fight. Maybe if they had an 8 versus 5, but alas, it wasn't meant to be. Flying Blåhajar, they retake control of the point.
Yeah, and finally, it feels like I've just been mostly flaming those who Crow, because honestly, like, they do deserve it. They've been awful, I think. Like, there's just no... it feels like they're playing Overwatch, but they're not playing their heroes. Blåhajar, they've just been really good with mechanical punishes. And they've had people thrown at them on a silver platter, willingly diving headfirst into the fire. And, you know, they put the match in the correct spot every single time. Rainy Mood, I think, Rainy Mood and Nameless has had really solid maps so far. And if that series continues, the rest of the series, it's going to look rough for those.
Yeah, Container Rush from Blåhajar doesn't quite hit its mark, and ultimately those who Crow were able to kite it out and are now staging their counter attack. You see Nameless get dropped down to such low HP. He's looking for an angle to get a heal pack. It's the overclock from Rainy Moon looking for an angle, is not quite able to make the shots connect. 150 charge, can they make it? Yes, they can! January falls. Naiadis follows him to the grave shortly after. The Zarya really isn't working out for you. And the carts, the payload, it's going to be dumped in at the final section.
Yeah, and it's just the distance as well. The Zarya doesn't have any speed boost to close the gap, so the minute they're out of bubbles, it's just free picking. I think Xion being able to go on the off angle, ignore the Zarya, and Soj is just historically one of the best answers into that. You can just sit in the back of the map, and if she gets hit with a railgun without bubbles, well, good night. All in dies though. So those who Pro, it's not quite over yet. You'd think Flying Blåhajar very unbeatable.
Oh, Banana Shake recalls right into a flux. Ready Mode and Nameless also finding their own picks, you know, showing up their names on that big old board. Taking down Fainter as well. Now you're on perma health. Naiadus, what are you going to do with it? Make it count? Yes, you got 1 kill out of it, but Flying Blåhajar, they're doing a really good job of keep away here, keeping this payload right up in those who Crow's face.
And when I talked about the 40%, right, but Flying Blåhajar has just been so dominant that the payload, the push bot, basically hasn't gotten out of this section of the map in 7 minutes, shall I say? Like, the most it's gotten is like round the corner, somewhat close to the neutral spot, and then immediately up to it just gets walked entirely black. Not too much more I can say this match. It's so one-sided since like Blåhajar. Those who Crow just haven't had a speed. Let's see how they adjust the map. This one.
Yeah, we'll see from Banana Shake's perspective, going in deep onto that back line. The pulse bomb doesn't stick, but we do have a gravity surge in the back pockets. You got to use it now when it's going to catch 4 members, but the Kenkai action where he's going to give you a lot of damage. It's January, able to shut down 3, able to get 4 kills. Almost a clean ace, but it got stolen away from the Tidal Blast. And on the INJs, we can't call it a clean sweep anymore because they just started moving the payload.
They got meters, as I said, in overtime as well. This would be the most illegal fight choke of all time. Those who Crow used, I think, all 5 ultimates in that fight as well. They really could have shot themselves in the foot anymore starting out on this mountain climb. But I don't unfortunately remember the lyrics of the climb by Miley Cyrus, but it's always going to be another mountain, so it's always going to want to make it. It's going to have to be a whole miracle from those who Crow. They're going to need something absolutely godsend. And Banana Shake, one of the key impact players, that Tracer, he doesn't have to be on cart, he's just being picked off by Blåhajar of all people.
Yep, the Graphitic Flux finds 3 members. Is able to secure the kill there onto 2. And Flying Blåhajar didn't even need the overclock. They're going to take that one to map number 2 as map 1 is securely in their favor. I don't think that anybody had any doubts there that they had it from the first minute.
No, as I said, very, very one-sided performance from Flying Blåhajar. And coming in, people weren't necessarily high up on this team before that, hey, with the 4 supports, it was really going to be difficult. I mean, the downside now for Blåhajar is, to be fair, this is an excellent map 1. From the really dominant performance, those who Crow looked totally out of ideas, to be honest. They looked like they really couldn't get out of first gear. But now things are drastically going to change. Blåhajar are going to have to put 2 new supports in. Those who Crow are going to have Kiddo in on probably one of the best ball maps in the game when it's unbanned as well.
Yep.
And they get to make some substitutions. So sometimes, I will say, the map 1 can be completely unindicative of the rest of the series. Because one team puts their B team in, the one trick comes back in, the maps are more favourable, etc., etc. Flying Blåhajar is like, I mean, what more do you want from a really dominant 134 meter win? They, as I said, they didn't really get out of first gear. Those who Crow just weren't ready to show up on that map. I think just too many silly deaths early from people, too much over-aggression, over-forcing. It's not necessarily like being too aggressive. I think it's just you can't do it, you know? Like, you can't be sitting just AFK on the wall, on the corner, wide peeking, and just AFK on the wall in front of their entire team when they have a Sojourn and a Xion. You can't be in that tight room with Lucio, without Am, when they have the Xion. We can't be jumping in with Bubble, shifting in like it's 2016, you know? Like, they had to, as I said, felt like really they're the DPS of those who Crow didn't get to play a lot of fights because they were constantly down 1. And that's a horrible state to be in. You do not want to be doing that going forward. Like, let your DPS play the game. Let him play. I don't know. Like, I don't know.
I mean, it's hard to. You're preaching to the choir right now. Like, I fully agree with where you're coming from, but you know, looking forward to Saravasa, I've really got to hope that this is that big reset button, that this is the opportunity now for those who Crow to strike back bigger, harder, and stronger. And I mean, it's something that we touched upon in the previous series, but Flashpoint is one of those game modes where, yes, it is very momentum-based like push, but the advantages that you build, they're very fleeting, right? Once you secure that one Flashpoint objective, you're going to be able to move on to the next one, and then you're back again on even footing, minus the positioning advantage or the ult economy that you have over them. Now, we already are starting to receive the bans from these teams, those who crow. Since they lost that first map, they're going to go first, and I'm being told by production it was a frame 1 Sigma ban.
Yeah, Sigma is, so you know that you're playing the ball OTP. Cassidy, Mizuki, and Sigma are on the table. I think Mizuki might be something you can deal with because you're maybe not as confident. As I said, we've been told it's Bubba season. Sigma is far and away the best tank into Wrecking Ball. It also means that, well, actually they can't ban Ball again anyway. But clearly feeling that Bubba is very confident on the Sigma, one of the few characters he plays, and really good at dueling the people that Wrecking Ball likes to play. Just a very good answer into Wrecking Ball, particularly that accretion. So one of the three main counters to Wrecking Ball, in my opinion, is Mizuki, Sigma, and then maybe Cass is there, but Cass is probably like the weaker option. So it was always going to be a Cass or Mizu ban going into map 2 shot.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the big things, right, is you've also got Mizuki, who's been such an effective counter to this ball, and I think a Lucio ban from Flying Blåhajar, hear me out here, is playing into that, right? Because if you want to really deny a lot of value from this ball, you're going to want to run something like a Kiriko and a Mizuki together. So able to use that binding chain, follow that up into, I don't know, a flashbang for a hinder. The accretion is off the board now. But, having that extra utility, being able to layer it, and denying the Lucio so they don't have an advantage from you running a Mizuki, that's a really powerful combo to put together for Flying Blåhajar.
I actually think the Lucio ban, the Lucio ban, I think is a mistake because we saw what Feinter was doing on Lucio. Like Feinter on Lucio map 1, what does he even do? All in his mind, like put the memes out. Just an awful performance, unfortunately. I don't want to flame too hard, but like definitely just look lost. It's going to be different with a ball comp though. I also think the best main support these days isn't Lucio for a ball comp. That might be a hot take, but I think there's better main supports. They do have a good ban though. RMM is going to be going in for Flying Blåhajar, isn't a Lucio player. He's going to be able to play something like the Brig. They could potentially play Brig Curry. He's going to be able to play the Mizuki as well. He might play Mizuki. Yeah. I'm not sure what the anti-ball backline is or what backline you play with. But again, from my perspective, 2 bans from Flying Blåhajar, both of them I think are incorrect. But it didn't matter map 1, it might not matter map 2. So, there's only so much that you can, the map is never won on paper, right? So let's see. I think, at least for those who crow, they're going to have Kiddo in on a very strong ball map, and they probably weren't going to play Lucio anyway. So, let's see it. Yep. All the marbles on the line. It's first blood and it's match point. This is how we go in the BPL regular season. Bugbears is on Hawk. Oh my god, the pigeon can.
Oh yeah. Hi, pigeon.
If you heard the conspiracy that pigeons are actually drones that work for the CIA?
I mean, I'm pretty convinced this pigeon is a drone. I don't know about all pigeons, but I would buy this one for $1.
Absolutely. Let's see what Flying Blåhajar are going to go with. So Nectar to TP away, Mizuki for the chain, Roadhog for the hook, Cassidy for the flashbang. Those who crow. Nifty B is in, a heavy hitter, some may call him, on a sleep schedule that is about NA +8, but Kiddo in on ball and you've got to make a big impact this time. Chain, that's hook.
Oh yeah, and the damage that this ball is taking is significant, but that's what makes a really good ball player, is being able to play to your limits and getting out at the absolute last moment. That's another one of the strengths that the binding chain has, is it allows you to really shut them down right as they were hoping to leave. And we do see January securing the first blood here of the map onto RMM, already a good look for those who crow compared to last time. And Nifty B is able to shut down Bubba Wyatt. Now without your Roadhog to anchor you onto this point, which is going to be a reset angle, whether it's running away or throwing your lives at the enemies.
Yeah, and ball comps, often I think ball comps, ball one-trick teams, ball-centric teams are kind of scaling. The players have to get used to playing with the ball because a lot of them don't have that experience. And it's completely different in solo queue as well, because ball players in solo queue are just most intent. But the fact that Kiddo was able to get hooked that fight, he got chained that fight as well, he didn't even need season, he just kind of rolled away. That's the perfect example for those who once Spawn was out, the rest of his team looked up, and again, there's such a danger of overlooking at the wrecking ball for slightly Blåhajar. If you do that, then it's going to be a rough map, because Jan and Banana Shake are going to have all the space in the world. As I said, map one, it felt like they were really unable to function because of the pressure that slightly Blåhajar.
And now looking for another angle now. Flying Blåhajar walking on this point. The Kitsune Rush does do a lot of good as Rainy Mood secures the kill now onto January. A lot of damage in return though. C-Sharp falls down to Kiddo. Now a nice hook into that back line means Fainter is removed from the picture. Kiddo with the mines able to shut down RMM, and the Flying Blåhajar have no more supports. They're going to play with permanent health. Banana Shake able to shut that Reaper down. And we're not long for this world, and neither is Bubba. That's first point already secured and done with for those who crow.
Yeah, and I think the ball comps, I really think they thrive in these 3v3, 4v3 split fight situations where it's not 5 versus 5. In that situation, the ball was actually out the fight for a lot of time, was basically dead for 15 minutes, I would say so, Sean. They come up at the end, and it's just a slap, it's a move, it's an easy execute. All alive versus a squishy. They're out of cooldowns, it's one of the people that's able to CC the ball instead, it's bad. But those who are getting so aggressive with this combo here.
Yep, Tidal Wave, Setsuruka's spree is going to mean that Bubba Wyatt actually catches the short end of the stick. Nifty's able to find another pickup here onto Rainy Mood as well. And Swifty use of ultimates there means that you're able to secure this first cap and really set those who crow up in a really nice position moving forward.
It is crucially important that those who crow try and get as much out as possible in these fights. When you're able to defend the point as Wrecking Ball, you don't really have to concern yourself too much with the objective. You can use that as an anchor. You can tell the pathing of Flying Blåhajar, because it's going to be from a choke into an objective.
Yep.
That's why this map is so powerful for Ball. They go with the Coalescence, it doesn't get on Nameless, so they just fall on the offside. Fainter, much improved performance this match already, has some big damage on the Wuyang, and that ball, that distraction from Wrecking Ball, provided big protection in the field. More than the variable jump, which is odd when you think about it.
Yeah, we see Kiddo dropping down to low HP, looking for a re-engage before they're fully healed up. The mines are deployed, but the slam goes wide, not able to connect with anybody. Now Bubba Wyatt looking with the rest of their team to try and find an angle onto this point. We've got 80% already gone. Rainy Mood is able to pick up a kill, finally putting Flying Blåhajar on the board. Nameless able to secure another. And now Fainter, though, is able to get that trade back now onto Nameless. Flying Blåhajar secure the points and, you know, cleaning up a couple extra kills for the road.
Yeah, it's going to get a bit more difficult for those who crow now. I think Bubba Wyatt being able to really aggress onto the very poke-centric core of Banana Shake, Misty, and Fainter. They're going to be in the back of the map. And so far, Blåhajar were just kind of running to them in a straight line, no speed boost, nothing. And Bubba Wyatt was just taking free poke from him. Now he's on to be able to help Rainy Mood. So they can go as a G, they can go as a pick and pop. I like to call it Yonka turn for basket. Get high, Banana Shake to stable, but those who crow, I think in dangerous position.
Yep, Saturaku's spree is shut down immediately, but Bubba Wyatt able to trade back the kill onto Banana Shake. January executes C-Sharp, and now Flying Blåhajar continuing to play from a disadvantage. The Rampage cuts through the team, and Nifty's not able to escape it. League gets a kill now onto January. Now with the point capture progress continuing to tick up, there's little that Kiddo can do other than run back for their mama.
Yeah, I actually think this was an illegal fight win from Flying Blåhajar. They just throw everything into it. The Coalescence is laid. The ult Nameless actually popped it and died instantly. The mind comes into Kiddo. It could be big. RMM dies. Rainy Mood missed the death blossom as well. So those who crow, I thought for sure they were going to drop this punch at me, but they might still be in with a chance.
Yeah, and now you have Bubba Wyatt, you know, continuing to try to hold on, but ultimately gets executed. And now those who crow claim that second flashpoint, and looking pretty happy as now they're on map point.
Kiddo very much saving the blushes of his team there. I think getting the touch minefield in that particular point as well. It's this one, and then I think the one that we're heading to next, which is like the dojo with the wells on either side. really strong 4 minefield. Basically any point on this map, apart from first, minefield is ridiculously strong. Oh, remember, find yourself with outplayed and without healing one. It should be an easy clean up. So that's one standard at the start of the fight. If you don't take the very Crow if they look to try and stay out this map.
Yeah, continued rush from Crow makes the point inhospitable for the Flying Blåhajar. And a further kill now on to January. Goodbye, C# off of that map. Nameless sends themselves to for a quick reset. Stop me if you've seen this one before, but first point cap for those who Crow. Potentially, this could be it.
It could be this. As I said, it's kind of expected to happen, right? Like you left ball open on Cerebasa, you banned a non-factor in UCO, and the ball one quick team gets to play around ball on one of the best ball maps. Same thing, guys. The trade with Mammoth, I think he's not bad for me. I wouldn't say the most useful hit, but wow. The shape. What a breeze on that.
The damage is amazing, but now the balls come, or the mines come out onto this point. So you see Rainy Mood shut down Banana Shake and is trying to make their way out. Actually returns to the rest of their team thanks to the Queen shouts. And now the point cap makes its way over to Flying Blåhajar here as they're trying to de-escalate this fight, waiting for those who Crow's aggression.
It's important to note that RMM has only just swapped back over to the Mizuki. He was on Moira for most of the time, and I mean, I don't think it's that good particularly into Xion. I think Moira is a terrible matchup. The minute you get your fade forced out by just Crown Tigers, the minute your fade is gone, yeah, it's one of the two movement rounds, and you're just cooked. Flying Blåhajar doing everything they can to try and survive the ball engage. So I think the pressure coming in from the hamster is just mind controlling everything.
Yeah, the Tidal Blast doesn't connect, and now the Kitsune Rush and Flying Blåhajar serving to do as much damage as possible. Banana Shake looking for an angle, is not able to find it. Kato and Fainter get their own kills. January leaves himself off the map for equality's sake. Bubba Wyatt is not long for this world. You see the flank now from the Reaper. The Kiriko TP's in deep to support him. And now with the Death Blossom in hand, Rainy Mood is looking to make a difference, make that hero play, save the point for your team. The TP at the very end keeps them up, but C# was lost in the process. Those who Crow are very happy with that trade.
Yeah, and I thought Blåhajar could have potentially got understable there with the Death Blossom. The Reaper was on the objective. That's what you wanted. And January falls off, but it's an excellent engage from those who Crow. In general, Blåhajar has not managed to catch people out. But Nameless and Raining, I think, got caught out far too early in fight. And that's the game, ladies and gentlemen. It's important to note that the minute the Wrecking Ball gets that shield perk, that sort of parry ability to give himself shield on deploy, it's pretty fight over because you're just never going to get hit by the chain. But dominant performance from those who Crow this time, Charlie. So like most of the time, I'm like setting up pre-fight and explaining concepts, maybe too much. Like the fight's over before like some crazy speedrun from those who Crow this map.
Oh, yeah, that's one of the big things that happens, right? When you have the ball, where you have the volatility, those fights are over before they even begin, and you really saw just a significant amount of pressure arising from that. Flying Blåhajar, they had the right concepts, they were using their abilities in the correct ways, but I mean, I think one of the major missteps there is, how do we play into this ball? We removed it from the picture on that first map, and now you're spending the entirety of your flashpoint trying to adjust to it. Your team is just too slow on the draw.
Yeah, I also think I'm gonna pull up some of the numbers. Like basically the numbers from map 1 and map 2 look identical, just kind of reversed. Nameless went 3 and 9 that map. What that with really low damage as well, didn't even crack 4k damage and just hit it at 3 points. In the end, went Venture to just try and live the engage, but when you're going Venture to just kind of live the engage, they couldn't do anything against the rest of the Blåhajar team. Really, they struggled to combo once they went over onto the Queen, to struggle to combo with the Queen and getting the shout over onto the Venture for the dig safely for the executes. I think the Venture swap came in quite late as well, maybe even after the ball got the parry perk. Don't fact check me on that one, but it was small timing. But they played a lot of hitstun on that map, I believe, Nameless. So that's always the target. Just shows how oppressive a ball comp can be when Nameless went, let's have a look at the damage map 1, went 21 and 6 with 7.8k damage. And this map, they go 3 and 9 with 3.9k damage. Like it swings around and out. The ball completely shut down everything Flying Blåhajar was planning to do. great response from those who crow. And now we're going to Shambali. Unfortunately, not really a ball map, but
Yeah.
what do you think? You think Blåhajar confident going into map 3, or?
I mean, I think that Blåhajar would be more confident than the previous one, because like you mentioned, right, Shambali is a very not, I want to say hostile, but not a favorable map for the ball to be picked into. And when you're trying to run it, especially the way that Shambali was designed is, you know, it's that constant uphill battle. You're constantly trying to funnel your team through these choke points, whether it's, you know, first, second, or third. It's very steep, right? And while ball does have some effectiveness, it is really a roundabout way. You're trying to do gymnastics, while, say, I don't know, a Hazard, a Winston, or a Diva will just be able to, you know, fly their way up, you know, go directly onto that high ground and disengage at will. The ball, it has to go on like a 5-minute adventure.
Yeah, I think it's a really hard question as we see the bans coming in. Those who crow ban Cassidy, Blåhajar obviously getting the first ban and banning out Wuyang, which was very well executed by Fainter. Also the ultimate. I think Fainter is sort of, much as he struggled on map 1, did so much on map 2 as well. I think the damage numbers from both Nifty and Fainter were far, far superior. Actually, to be fair, RMM did 3.3k damage, but some of that was on Moira, so it's like a little bit fake. But yeah, Fainter ended up doing more damage than healing on the Wuyang there. So that time, I think Flying Blåhajar made a terrific ban. Because then they disabled the Mizuki ban as well, because Sigma's already off the board, right? You can't ban Sigma for this map. So Blåhajar are going to be on Sigma. They're going to have Mizu open. I'm interested to see what lineup and just what the hero select stream looks like for both of these teams going into map 3. But map 1, good map for ball banned. Map 2, ball open, clean stomp. Map 3, not a good map for ball. So those who crow. As you said, it's going to be an uphill battle going into this one.
No, it's really going to be one of those classic dilemmas. Is an unstoppable force versus an immovable object. Is Bubba Wyatt's Sigma going to be strong enough to really stand the test of time versus Kiddo's ball? They do have the map advantage on their side. Is it going to be enough, or are you going to need more? That's going to be the big major question here. And further on, the supporting cast, right? Is the Xion going to be... You're going to continue to perform, or are we going to see more variety here in this DPS role? The supports, I'm sorry guys, but Kiri Lucio, Kiri Mizuki, it's kind of locked in at this point, and the key's been long tossed away.
Yeah, I mean, Kiriko has just been like, I took a break from esports at the back end of last year when people were playing Lucio Kiri, and when I came back a couple of weeks ago, people are still playing Lucio Kiri, and it's just Mizuki is getting thrown into it as well because it's a new character that they've used. Random quick shout out, just in case someone actually does have the stream unmuted. Let me know your thoughts about the Anran changes in the community patch. I don't know if you've got them, Shani. Completely unrelated to everything, but I played the Anran in community patch, and she actually feels amazing. I think they should just try and put that in the live game. But it's a map 3, it's a decider. Banana Shake is on Vendetta, not Venture. Vendetta with Kiddo on ball. So those who crow looking really aggressive here with their front 3, with 2 DPS and tank. Going to have to try and maybe take a lot of pressure off Kiddo this time.
Yeah, we already see that initial dive, and the binding chain does hold them together, but not for too long. You know,
just taking no damage there.
Banana Shake. Yeah, Banana Shake really has to play very carefully with when they choose their engage, especially with a Mei here on the field. We see Nameless getting chunked out really significantly, doesn't have the Icicle, and Banana Shake is able to cut their head off. See Kiddo there, finding that pickup now onto the DPS. Bubba Wyatt making a nice use out of that chain. And all things considered, though, Flying Blåhajar are forced to back up, and it seems like the unstoppable force might be victorious here on this, at least first part.
Yeah, and Blizzard said they wanted to get rid of hard CC in Overwatch 2, and then they print Mizuki, and RMM is going to have to be crucial for them. Sigma, of course, one of the best answers into ball, as we know. That drop on mode, that accretion is really good into the start. With that chain, RMM, the Kakai Sanctuary is perfect, allowing the team to stay. Great chain again from RMM. Kiddo lives it. skin of his teeth, and now he's got mines to go back.
Yeah, the mines were used. The fireball unfortunately went out. It was extinguished. Now Kiddo is running back to the rest of their team. We see Bubble just doing so much damage up there in that front line. This is able to keep him alive for a little bit longer. It is healed back up to full stabilized yet again. We see Rainy would get dropped down to low HP. The Kenkai Sanctuary to keep the team running in this fight. Nobody has died yet. It's going to be the continuing rush now from those who Crow, looking to make that difference, to break those checkpoints. It is going to be the Sanctuary dropped on as well. Those who Crow are all in. Z-Sharp looking to help neutralize the game. It's going to be the Satsuki Spree running into this back line. Z-Sharp doesn't even use the Susan for themselves. And ultimately, Banana Shake is the one to break the stallmates. It'll be Nifty B finding the pickup onto the Tracer as well. Z-Sharp is not falling for this world. Rainy Mood was eventually able to score one on the board, but it was too little too late. Wow. Those who Crow, you did well, and you were able to secure the first point with ample time remaining.
Actually, really impressive from those who Crow. Flying Blåhajar go first, so they wait for their resources to run out. I actually like the aggression that Jan, B-Shake, and Kiddo are cycling. Kiddo is going in first and just sort of mind controlling the cooldowns to come out from Flying Blåhajar. I think they need to hold off on using the chain early in the fight. Use it for a DPS, but once that chain goes, then one of B-Shake and Jan RMM left without the return. I don't know the full name of it, but he doesn't have his step back. RMM is just dead first, and that should be a massive loss for Blåhajar.
Now we see Bubble Wyatt though pops the flux almost out of desperation. Looks like the fight could potentially turn around for Flying Blåhajar, but those who Crow are continuing to overrun them with sheer numbers in the time and place. So ultimately, those who Crow are able to continue to push this objective forward, and I mean, all eyes are going to be on this Vendetta ultimate. Is she going to be able to find an angle, pull off one of those big Reddit plays?
No chain could be a huge punish from those who Crows. So slow. The ball going in stable so far for those who Crow, but they're coming up with some big ultimates. Speaking of Banana Shake, rips the overhead sword flash.
Yep, shuts down RMM, and now Nameless off the board as well. Flying Blåhajar fighting down 2, fighting down 3 now without their tank, and without much opposition. Going to continue this steamroll in a cruel twist of fate. I mean, we're going into the series. We thought that, you know, Flying Blåhajar were, they have a proven track record. They have those 2 games under their belt, and their performance in the kickoff. But those who Crow seem to have really put that shoe on the other foot for this map.
Yeah, I'm really liking this look from those who Crow so far. As I said, still looking for their first win in BPL. Lost early in the kickoff and lost last week as well. But this double flex DPS build is just so much for Flying Blåhajar to look at. Remember, tension is a resource. Only one person can be healed, and while Bubble Wyatt is receiving care, Rainy Mood just dies to a massive amount of first damage in January. They have to pop it front and try to hit more than just P.
Yep, the Flux doesn't quite execute the Vendetta, and ultimately Kiddo's the one with the bombs, able to find the kill there onto RMM. Finds a second one onto Nameless. And now January popping their spree as well. Those who Crow are marching very triumphantly here towards this final cap, and it's all up to Flying Blåhajar. Are they able to touch? It's going to be the teleport from the Reaper. The chains keeping him in place, and even with the Sanctuary on top of this point, Crow are fighting very handedly, and the Doomfist is able to find their way onto this point, shuts down Banana Shake, and looking further for a kill, but C-Sharp ends up getting executed by the Xion, and ultimately Bubble Wyatt falls as well. Those who Crow make the full distance, and they do it in style with 2.5 minutes left.
And that's going to be a huge sigh of relief, because it means they can take their time, they can afford to give up a little bit of map. They're not trying to defend a really minuscule timeline. And ball on defense, I think, is a little bit harder than attack. I don't know how ball functions on second point, but one thing I will say is that ball, when you know where the enemy are going to pass, they're always going to prioritize car, aren't they? So when you can, when they're the ones that have to rotate into you, as you naturally do on defense, because they're always the ones pushing an advancing map, right? Whereas you get to set up pre-fight. Does make it a bit easier, so those who Crow might have just put themselves in the best possible position. Going in, as we said, Sigma on the board, Mizuki still in the lobby, 2 big answers into board. And Kiddo has just played it excellently, showcasing the skill ceiling of ball one tricks, showcasing the skill ceiling on this character, and also low-key how broken the shield perk is once you get it, because that's the main way of stopping the ball. You've got to CC him. RMM, unfortunately, I think he's just missed too many chains. But most importantly, Mood and Nameless just kind of unable to trade out anyone, as the rest of their team are getting thrown around by ball, because eventually the ball comes their way. C-Sharp and RMM, I don't think they've been bad. They can't heal everyone. Everyone is taking damage. They've gone really no fear with the aggression. We get the nifty BLRE, so we will keep a running counter of how many captive suns this fat fucking should hit, because I guarantee the over-under for this map, guys, get it in on cow sheet. I'm going to say nifty gets, this round, gets 2 kills with the captive sun. No more, no less. Definitely not.
Okay.
The over-under on captive sun kills is 2 this round. Remember that, guys. Let's see how we do.
All right, we do already see a little bit of a who's who with these vendettas flying over the rooftop, not able to find their targets quite yet. Mood able to break the silence with the kill now onto Banana Shake, and that's that sort of first pickup that you need on the attacking team. You already see Nameless, continuing to keep this pressure up, holding around this next corner, looking to go in deeper, misses the overhead slam, and January able to punish them. Now they have the ball, who retreating at 1 HP, is looking for an angle. Reaper TP's right on top of them. Mood not giving them any room to breathe, as Flying Blåhajar, they're continuing to push this point.
Those who Crow, they look really unfazed, unbothered by Mood on the Reaper, just sort of forcing out and forcing and poking out the Racehorn and just killing him basically whenever they can. RMM, messes up mechanically, gets killed there, so big advantage, particularly with this area, finally getting energy into the backside of this fight. Zarya is a back mode hero. I think is deterred the longer the fight goes on, the more the Zarya will scale. All the damage is baked into the fight once you get balls and the energy naturally. Nameless gets far too aggressive. You can't be doing that against the Warthog. You've got the mobility to shut you down. Punish now coming in from those who Crow potentially.
Yeah, the Coalescence on RMM is going to give them a lot more breathing room, especially the Kenkai Sanctuary. You can't eat a coal. And Mood able to shut down Nifty B, gets that grab onto this point as well. The Death Blossom finds one, but is traded back, and the Sitsuruku Spree, looking for any kills that they can get, is not able to result in much as C-Sharp shuts them down. Bubba Wyatt continuing here to fight over this point. Fainter ends up falling. And Flying Blåhajar, it might have taken, using your enemy strategy against them, but hey, if it works, it works.
Yeah, Blåhajar play this fight great. They force an objective fight. Pretty much for the main fight is the whole point. They force it on the objective. Those who Crow don't stall the cart enough. They get to a point where they have to stop it from happening. That's when the ultimate, that's when the grab, that's when the high energy Zarya can play. If she saves her double, saves her energy, that's when Mood can finally be effective on Reaper in this point. Oh, Nifty B.
Is that a DC? That, I guess it was.
100%. If you saw the way that Nifty was actually looking as he went into Captive Sun, he was looking the other way. Like Nameless was shooting him in the back of the head there. So absolutely disastrous from those who Crow. It was Nifty either DCs or something, but yeah, looking backwards. Awful timing as they went in with the Captive Sun on the flank as well. Probably would not have hit much anyway. As I said, the count is 2. Suzu was available, but you never know. Very unfortunate pause timing there coming in, because momentum was slowly starting to be regained by those who Crow. Captive Sun absolutely fried his PCU. He missed so bad it hit his PSU, hit his graphics card and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the big pressures. You're struggling, right? When you have the Captive Sun, all the pressure is on. You're really looking for it, and then why am I not moving? Where did I go?
Have you seen what message Jimmy put in A Live, by the way, Shami? I just want to point your attention to it. We might be able to put it up on the thing. We'll see. I'm not sure the rules on this, but hopefully Nifty can just restart the PC. It's not going to get that ultimate back, so honestly, should just low-key swap and play Killer from here. But yeah, been an interesting map so far. As I said, I think Blåhajar have been doing an excellent job in just forcing the objective. I think that's all really they can do. Like their KDAs, they're not going to look pretty, Shami. But you know what, we're going to push that cart. As long as they push that cart in with somewhat of an even time, it's a very, very winnable performance.
Yeah, and when it comes down to it, right, it really does seem like the unstoppable force did pay off, right? Having that ball, being able to play it really, really well, and it being unbannable for the rest of the series did really end up coming to bite Flying Blåhajar right in the butt. But as we're looking forward to these next fights, right, you've got Flying Blåhajar capped with so much time left. I think they had upwards of 4 minutes when they capped first point, and you're really looking to repeat the precedent that those who Crow set out ahead of you. And when you both end with that much extra time, what the game actually does is it will start to scale it down for you a little bit. So we're probably not going to see a full 3 minutes overtime for both of these teams, but what it does work in, right, is it works to help bring them closer in parity. And I don't know about you, but a dive team comboed in with a ball, I have a little bit more faith in, especially in OT high pressure, than I do the Zarya.
Yeah, 100%. I don't mind Zarya. I don't think it's one of the better tanks into ball personally, because you should be able to bubble off the targets they're slamming. You can use 2 bubbles yourself and just walk on someone. Even if you don't have the most speed boost, you've got a really good corner to be able to poke as well. And obviously the Graviton Surge is one of the best ultimates. Just lock someone down, solo kill them quick, go. We're still waiting on Nifty, so we will see. I'm going to check if he's in the VC. He isn't. So it could be potentially disastrous if Nifty is unable to come back in time. As we can see, those who Crow, that was the ultimate that they had, right? Like, that was their ultimate ready to go. Looking for an early pick with that Sunrise. And now down Alari. Blåhajar actually got a pretty decent time bank because they look to roll it into second as well. So game state looking a little bit dodgy for those who Crow, particularly if they're on a DC. What's it looking like, Prod? What do you think? Probably don't need to throw it to a short break, actually. I think I'm talking out my arse there. I might just be able to yap for a bit.
Yep. But, as the game has developed out, right, I think that we have covered most of our bases. You have the swap from these teams. They're all really in it to win it. I don't think that no matter which way this goes, both of the teams are really deserving of a victory here. It just really ends up being, who is able to execute on this the better, right?
Yeah, I do think so, truthfully. Being able to... The ball comp, as much as hard as it is to play against, it's also hard to play. And we saw sometimes the good side of it on point 1 when those who Crow were able to snowball. We saw the bad side of it when they weren't able to get the hits off, because on attack you can play the snowball, and if you buff up and engage you can just wait and go again. Whereas on defense, if you buff up your first engage, they're going to get point for free. They're going to move to a better part of the map. They get an extra corner, an extra health pack. So you really have to make them fight for every inch while also timing your engages. And I think that's sometimes where ball players can struggle as they transition from solo queue into team play. I think in solo queue sometimes you can just give up the whole map, and it might tilt your DPS, but most of the time you can go a little bit slower, I think, in solo queue and get rewarded, because your enemy team aren't going to min-max objective properly. They're going to continue to pick double hit stab into Wrecking Ball, for example. They're not going to be playing like Mizu or Torbjorn, etc. And they're not just going to sit on cart and force you to be quick and effective. They're just going to wait for you to die and try and do something else. So big transition from team play. Because I know a lot of solo queue, I think a lot of DPS and support in solo queue just hate playing with ball, because they just need a rectangle man in front of them, really. They don't want to play angles. I was playing a DPS game the other day and I got told to stop splitting up by a solo queue time. Admittedly, it wasn't low diamonds, so don't take it with that's kind of expected. But I'm on Soldier, how are we in 2026? And you're Soldier, why are you splitting up? Like, that is, I'm on an offline Bulldog, that's my job. So it looks like Nifty isn't coming back. They're going to have to go back in on K. So Kiriko luckily is an A. K very much favouring the Kiriko. So Nifty gets a map and a half, and Naya has just put in the team chat that I can see the They Got Him gif from the TED movie. I don't know if you've... I'll put it in A Live so you get it for reference. Looks like they got him, guys. They got him. I like them too.
I mean, putting in K, right, is going to... I think a mid-map swap is definitely not optimal for your team, especially when you had so much success previously. It looks like actually the ultimates were wiped, question mark? I'm a little confused.
Yeah, all the ultimates are wiped. I mean, that's massive for those who crowd, because Blåhajar had, I think they were close to Grav, and they had Kiri Rush. So they had Kiri Rush, and they had the overhead swing from Famous. I forget the name of it, but they had Vendetta.
All right. You know, as we set ourselves up, we find ourselves again flying Blåhajar, 3 minutes remaining, making this push happen at all costs. And you know, now with everybody back on an equal footing, this does put Blåhajar a little bit at a disadvantage. As you mentioned before, these are some very powerful ultimates that Blåhajar are working their way towards.
Yeah, Jan also overcommits on the off angle there. Rainy Mood gets 2 bubbles. Doesn't matter how good Shion is, you're not getting Reaper in that lane with 2 bubbles. Really now showcasing the strength of Blåhajar. Just bubble any time that we go on. There we go, Rainy Mood continues to trip now. Those who crowd not ball managers. The ball is stalling, but no one can go in. Meaningless damage and a little bit of mainly Scooby as well. The Vendetta. Trade onto RMN. For those who crowd, stalling out for now at least.
Yep. As you see the damage coming through, we have Banana Shake continuing to hold down on top of this payload as the ball is going to do what the ball's going to do, right? It's going to continue in onto this back line. We see Nameless flirting a little bit with death, hiding up on the top rock there, looking for an angle to go in. Both of these teams, you know, not quite sure what the go button is yet.
And that looks like a go button, if anything. Shift forward in a straight line, but doesn't matter if you can see the Reaper ult coming. You've got no escape, and that's a bubble and a death blossom. It's flying Blåhajar. Hopefully Crow take a little bit of time off the clock, and then probably going to end up with a better time back. Blåhajar are doing an amazing job as now they're getting the big 2 ultimates online, Graviton Surge and Kitsune, but those who Crow going to have to be very careful and very dangerous going into this last point. They've got little room for error here, otherwise they're going to get grabbed. And that time back, not as big as it should be.
And you just see here those who Crow are scrambling to find their way into a defensive stance. You really don't have anywhere to run. Everything's out in the open. January is going to take advantage of that, shutting down Rainy Mood. Now we have the Satsuriku Spree come out as well, looking for more damage. It's going to be Nameless ultimately that pays the price, and it is a full-blown retreat here from flying Blåhajar. You know, Bubble Wyatt has that surge in tow, is looking potentially for an angle if you overextend a little too far.
Yeah, it's perfect for flying. It's perfect for those who crow, because Bubble Wyatt has to back out of a fight, and when she's got 100 energy, doesn't have any bubbles, has to back out, which means now energy is naturally going to go. He's going to basically always be at a point where he's got 100 energy. Oh! Bubbles January just throws the bike at him. He wasn't able to do it in time. The Zarya being greedy with the bubbles. Wyatt was taking energy off the space. Can't afford to do that in the match. If you're going to get your energy, can't need it. They're going to be more than happy to donate a little bit of energy to take that bubble away. Not to stay there. Get blown up. So
and we have Kiddo looking again on this off angle, going to slam down. It's going to be 2 Kitsune rushes on top of each other. It's going to be a Kenkai Sanctuary as well deployed for the Team Coalescence from RMM. So 1-for-1 trade so far. Both DPS have fallen. Just try and get an angle, try and get a foothold on this point. The Gravitic Surge finds 4. It's going to be Death Blossom on top 2. you know,
Huge
you got to
grab.
do everything for the win.
Yeah, huge grab, just really patient. Eventually, those who crow stall so much. Painter's Kai Sanctuary was a little bit cosmetic. I believe no one could actually play in it. Wasn't forward enough to support the ball. Wasn't back enough to support Banana. So now those who crow are down resources. Bubba Wyatt gets the big W on Zarya. They get to walk into the fight with energy. They're looking to catch the time, otherwise it's going to get a bit shaky as we go into extra innings where ball will start with that major perk, and that's going to be really hard for Flying Blåhajar to deal with.
Nameless in deep behind enemy lines, and it ends up getting shut down here by Banana Shake, and now Kiddo has to keep the point anchored because there's only 2 meters remaining. If you leave it, it's going to be capped right underneath your nose. We see Kiddo going in deep onto that back line. Flying Blåhajar forced to back up a little bit further than they would like. And now we have the retreat. RMM dropped down to just 1 HP, and the fade is deployed. Are they going to find the pick? No, they're not. The healer, yes, they will. January able to clean them up, and as the overtime wick burns out, so do Flying Blåhajar. Those who crow finally find themselves with the victory on the board off the back of an exhausting 2-1.
Yeah, as we see the numbers there, Jan and Kiddo went absolutely sicko on that really excellent Xion performance. Kiddo was the game changer. But they were the engine and the heart of everything that those were doing, because just their presence on the board lifted basically everyone. I think everyone had a better map too once Kiddo was in, particularly January on the Xion, when there was just someone that was getting cooldowns out for Jan on that Xion. Excellent work. It is unfortunate about that reset. The one thing I will say quick is that obviously, like, the DC on the angle as well is massive. You're going to force out a couple of cooldowns, or probably at least get a sun proc on that angle. I think it's really unfortunate that they lost Piri Rush as well, and I think they lost a lot of Zarya energy too. So that's really unfortunate. I think it completely destabilized any momentum that was going from the side of Flying Blåhajar. But getting held there is a little bit of a sign that it might not have mattered, dare I say it. But it's going to be a controversial call, because those who crow, really the only ultimates they were coming up on was Kiddo and Banana Shakes, and Kitsune Rush, very, very important at helping go against ball comps. So it's a little bit of a tough pause in the middle there, unfortunate situation with the replay code. But those who crow, I think they had their blushes spared a little bit. And good job to Kay for just subbing in and immediately locking back in. Those who crow go 1 for 1 and find themselves their first win on the 3rd attempt.
Yeah, I mean, you know, twice better than 1 shy, but they do end up making it work. And, you know, looking forward to the rest of the series, right? This one, whether you call it a fluke if you're a Flying Blåhajar fan, or, you know, those who crow who think that, you know, this was really, you know, the big one, right? If this is your big moment, you know, you're really starting to turn the tides. I think that, you know, being here in the mid-season, you've still got plenty of opportunity to prove out your side, no matter, you know, which one you tend to be on. And especially considering where those who crow sit now, right? They are smack dab in the middle of their group. You can really go anywhere, especially, you know, with a ±0 map difference that they have right now.
I've never seen an Alariel be so good it completely resets the enemy's team charge, to be fair, Sean. That's aura from Nifty Beyond the Alari there. Completely reset every single ultimate in the lobby, and then just leaves, you know, refuses to elaborate, and blows up the lobby on the Alari. Are we going to count that as over 2 Alari kills? I don't know if we can quite take
I mean,
resetting everyone's ult charge is arguably more important than 2 kills.
Yeah.
But what a fantastic series. Who do you think should be player of the series? I'm either going to give it to Kiddo or Jan. I think Jan was excellent for the 2 maps in which those who crow won, and was definitely pivotal. But I think it did all start and end with Kiddo. And at least for week 1, the first win, maybe just give it to the ball. Kiddo has been excellent. They were excellent last BPL season. They've taken a step up this season, and they've done good. So it's your call, Shami. What do you think?
I mean, it might be a little unpopular, and he did do a lot of glazing towards Kiddo, but I think that January really tipped the scales, and they are going to be my MVP for this matchup. The Xion just yeah, it just had so much pressure, it had so much impact, and I think that being the new character and all does give you an edge, but it is also a disadvantage when it comes to the player, learning how to play it and trying to execute on it and doing just some great things overall. I think the sprees, as well as just the ability to secure those pickups on their own, I think that's really where you see those good Xions rise.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So let's give it to January. Congrats on the win. Dominant performance on the Xion in the last two maps. Struggled in that first one, but really adapted once the Wrecking Ball came in. Those who crow get their first win of the season. Oh my god, Xion jump scare.
All right, well, congratulations to the very zoomed-in cropped Xion.jpg, JPG, if you will. And yeah, I think that, with the series drawn to a close, it would serve us well to look back at the match, or at the broadcast schedule and the groups one last time. So we do see we came a pretty far way there from that quick 2-0 series from Flying Bugbears against Mango Nectar. And then we had 2-1 bangers back-to-back, where Black Crown and Those Who Crow found themselves victorious tonight.
There we go. That's today's schedule, and we've got a big one tomorrow. Six Kingdom versus Ra. Both teams looking for their first win. I believe Six Kingdom have been sort of struggling, sort of getting the trying to kick off the post-kickoff hangover, so to speak, went all the way to finals. But I think struggled. Have been struggling a bit to get their momentum going and really figure out which way is up, which way is down in the BPL regular season. Thank you guys so much. Shami, it was a pleasure. Good job. Let's let's wrap up for the evening and get out of here, because I have some just rage baiting to do. I'm just gonna go flame that bad Alari player on Those Who Crow. That sucks.
All right, well, it was a pleasure casting with you too. So for everyone watching from home, make sure that you have a wonderful night. Tie your shoes, go to bed, have a good night, and we'll see you all tomorrow for a banger at 9 p.m.